45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
I mean, what did we think was going to happen? J.J. McCarthy works out at the Combine, impresses people at the Combine. Of course, the Michigan quarterback is now going to be flying up the draft board. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I just don't see Perloff, and I get the post-Combine bump for J.J. McCarthy, and this draft process is going to be set up perfectly for guys like J.J. McCarthy. I just don't understand how we have elevated now McCarthy, where a lot of insiders believe that he could go 4th overall in this draft or possibly sneak into the top 3.
Yeah, he could jump Drake May or Jayden Daniels. Well, he won a lot more than Drake May. You could make that argument. And I think the argument is this, and tell me what you think of this. He did not have a chance to throw because to win football games, Michigan was better served running the ball. So we never got to see what he would look like in a passing offense, but we did see enough that the potential was there. That's the argument. Now, I have trouble buying that. I'm more of if you produce in college, you have a better chance to produce in the NFL. He did not produce in college. I'm skeptical just like you, but can you squint and see, hey, you know what? They had Blake Corum. Of course they're not going to let this dude throw. So we know, though, when he does need to throw on third down, he had great numbers.
Right.
He made some big throws under pressure situations. He was a gigantic recruit, has all the physical skills. You really have to squint, but this is a leap into the unknown to draft him and assume he can be an NFL quarterback.
Well, that's where I would say, yes, the completion percentage is going to be there. You know, some of the numbers are going to look really good. But again, you ask, was this guy ever really asked to carry the load at any point when he was at Michigan?
No.
The answer is a resounding no. And so if you have this Ferrari at quarterback, someone who's we think could be the 4th overall pick in the draft or maybe the 3rd. And that assumes you have a Ferrari at quarterback. That assumes that the team was built around the quarterback, and yet we don't have any of the game tape for that. Listen, winner, of course, A.J. McCarron was a winner. Mac Jones was a winner. There's a lot of quarterbacks who didn't end up, being, well, Mac Jones still maybe remains to be seen, but he's in shaky ground right now. There's a lot of guys who won, but the offense wasn't built around them, and I thought we understood the difference there.
Well, McCarron fell to the 4th round, and Mac Jones did go in the 1st round.
I know, but is that a mistake?
But, there is a history of drafting potential high. The San Francisco 49ers did not see a lot of game film of Trey Lance in North Dakota State.
How'd that go?
Not great.
Yeah.
The Jets did not see a lot of game tape of Zach Wilson, so one season basically.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Even worse.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky, one big season in North Carolina. And the funny thing is, McCarthy at least has been around a little bit. You can't put him in a Mitch Trubisky because he never had his one big statistical year. I do think he's a little bit different than some of these other guys. I'm trying to think of who's a J.J. McCarthy type, a guy who did not put up big numbers, but they saw a lot of potential. Because it's easy to put up big numbers in college. That's why this is so confusing.
Well, I guess I would just compare it. I know they're playing totally different offenses and they're playing totally different types of competition, so forgive me. But if you actually watch what J.J. McCarthy did at Michigan, and again, winning for sure, can never take that away from him, winning a national title. But then you also watch Bo Nix or Michael Penix, and you're looking for a passer. We're looking for a passer at this level, and you're telling me somehow J.J. McCarthy is flying up to break into the top 3 as opposed to one of those guys who I watch throw all over the place.
Yeah.
And I know that maybe Michael Penix had Michael Penix had an amazing receiver, had a really amazing receiver class. Okay.
Bo Nix had good weapons too in Oregon.
And he did, but it's not like J.J. McCarthy had nobody. He did have Roman Wilson. It's not the same as Roma Dunze, but I think if you had this guy who was like, man, this howitzer arm that we're just, this incredible passer, we just locked him in a closet because we didn't have enough good receivers. Doesn't the quarterback elevate the receivers at some point, right?
Yeah. No,
Michigan,
I know what you mean.
I don't get it. I just don't.
I totally am with you here. You're right. You need a complete franchise changer, and we haven't seen that. He threw, I'm pulling up the stats, I think he threw 4 touchdowns in his last 5 games or something crazy like that. This is college football where everybody throws for 1 million yards. There's really no comp for a guy. He had 22 touchdowns on the season. There's no recent comp of a guy who was not productive in college who all of a sudden is going to become productive. I think of Moneyball. Remember Moneyball? People were doing things wrong in baseball forever. They were taking guys based on physical skills and not college production. And then Billy Beane came in there and said, let's take guys on college production and ignore the physical skills. This would be the anti-Moneyball move because I think people are looking back to J.J. McCarthy as a 5-star recruit, and he's tall and he's got a great arm. They're not looking at the production.
So there's another part of this. We're talking about J.J. McCarthy and how he's like really flown up the draft boards. And again, this was expected. There's always a combine darling. He fits the mold perfectly. And the fact is the other top 3 guys didn't throw, didn't work out, didn't do anything at the combine. And he's going to look great through this draft process. It's made for guys like him. He's going to impress the hell out of you in interviews. He throws a pretty ball. It's just he wasn't asked to do a lot of that when he was in college. The measurement, all that stuff is going to be there. I just would really ask you too, if you are trading up to 4 to get to J.J. McCarthy, or like latest mock draft from you guys had Ryan Wilson, our friend from CBS on recently. He put him 3 to the New England Patriots. You're not going to a good team. So a guy who was never asked to carry the load in college now might be asked to carry the load in the NFL when he's not going to be going to a particularly good place. Unless he gets to, I guess, Washington has definitely a better receiving core. Like, you're not going to a great spot. The New York Giants, who are you throwing to?
Well,
also, who's running the ball now? The Giants, now that Saquon Barkley's a free agent.
New England be a little bit like Michigan, like he'd just hand the ball off every play.
Another Michigan man, New England.
So I don't know about that. One thing McCarthy does have, do not forget the impact of the Harbaughs on the NFL right now. So he's a Jim Harbaugh guy. Jim Harbaugh is with the Chargers. His brother John is in Baltimore, and all their assistant coaches are taking over every job. True. So it might be a matter of connections, which doesn't sound like a smart way to run this thing. If you're drafting a number 4, it shouldn't be a guy who is there because of his connections to the Harbaughs, but that could be the factor. I have a question. You just said that he did everything right in the post-combine, in the combine.
Yeah.
So did Bo Nix and Michael Penix.
Right.
They had the great reports. Why? I'm just still a little surprised that he is higher than those 2 guys because of everything we saw last year. I don't get it. I'm not going to get it on draft night. I do think he's going to go higher, but I think we're going to watch football next year. Michael Penix is going to be probably a 2nd-round pick who's going to get in there and throw it all over the yard and be really good. And I'm just going to be mystified about how J.J. McCarthy rose up so high.
Okay, so this just happens that Colton is with us today and just so happened to be wearing a Michigan National Champions shirt. So, Colton, I hate to put you on the spot here, but you're clearly a big McCarthy guy. Why do you think he's deserving of all of this? Trade up, number 4. He'll go before Marvin Harrison.
I don't think he deserves to go in the top 5, but I'm not going to lie to you. I think he's above Drake May. Am I saying to trade up in the top 5 to get him? No. But the hate I've seen on social media, I just don't get it. He's a winner. All he did was win at Michigan. Right. And when he was asked to make the big play, he delivered. We talk about Josh Allen, how Josh Allen kind of snuck through everyone's draft boards. Who was he throwing to at Wyoming? No one. Same thing with J.J. McCarthy at Michigan. They haven't had a legit wide receiver in the building in years. So, again, Cornelius Johnson, Roman Wilson, great receivers. Second, 3rd round maybe, and second's probably pushing it. So, again, I just hate the stuff that I'm seeing on J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see anything from Drake May. I've watched North Carolina games this year, and I'm like, this guy's everyone's hyping up?
I know.
For me, I think it's Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels.
And that's it.
And that's it. Okay. And then after that, good luck.
That's a different conversation, right? We could talk about Drake May. The highs are high, the lows are low. Because you're saying, as a diehard Michigan guy who's wearing the Michigan championship T-shirt today, even you wouldn't take him in the top 5.
No, I think
and you're
it's
drinking
crazy.
the Kool-Aid, which I get.
I just think it's crazy to take him in the top 5, but same thing with these other guys.
Right.
I mean, you're talking, they're easy. Oh, Bo Nix. What did he do at Auburn? Nothing. Where I at least saw from Daniels at Arizona State. Then he goes to LSU, gets the better weapons, and he takes a huge leap. So for me, I just don't understand how you were going to hammer J.J. McCarthy, but we're going to let Bo Nix.
Yeah, but you can't use
it.
that logic anymore because of what Joe Burrow did. Joe Burrow blew up the. You can throw away the old tape once you get the right system. Because Joe Burrow is amazing, and he was mediocre at best throughout his entire career as senior. And by the way, Bo Nix actually did a body switch that nobody knows about. He's he's not the same human being at Auburn. We all know that, right?
Yeah, right.
That's fact.
It's how we think Pat McAfee has actually been cloned several times, and that it's not. You're watching different versions of Pat.
Yeah,
like, he's not the same guy. He can't possibly be doing all this stuff.
We saw
Same
Bo
thing with
Nix. Bo Nix at Auburn. That's a different human being. I don't know who this new Bo Nix is, but
Listen,
yeah,
once you get to Eugene, just life gets better.
Well, and Josh Allen went number 7. I think that's an interesting comp. But even Josh Allen didn't go 4, and you could see Josh Allen in shorts is very impressive. J.J. McCarthy's impressive, but not like that.
Well, also Josh Allen, let's not forget, that pick was panned. Yep. It's not like everyone called it and said, hey, you know what, guys, that's someone who's going to be in the MVP conversation every year. I almost cried that day.
I saw this video of some Bills Mafia guys who were in tears over Josh Allen. They were cursing out the camera. I'm like, well, typical Bills fans.
I was at a Hooters in Midtown, as one is, on that draft night, and there's videos of me, and I'm just shaking my head. I'm devastated that Josh Allen got taken by the Bills because I didn't know jack squat. Because I didn't understand. And to Josh's credit, he became a better passer and all that. So could J.J. McCarthy become better? Could he develop? Yes. But he's about to go to a bad team if someone trades up to get him at 4. Or not a great, awesome situation, potentially.
But you know who loves him? Sean
Brian
Payton.
Dable. Oh.
Sean Payton reportedly is enamored with him.
Yeah, go to the Broncos. They're doing awesome right now.
Well, you could get a decent offensive coach. You get Sean Payton. You mentioned Brian Dable, 6 with the Giants. Atlanta, Zach Robinson, a former McVay guy. You could squint. Again, you can squint and see it working, and these things are completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
Actually,
I wonder how much longer before Dable's on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Same thing in Atlanta. Sean Payton has a little more time.
Well, Atlanta, they just got there.
And so did Arthur Smith. Like, they cycle through guys. The Giants cycle through guys. You're not landing in these ridiculously stable environments. And then the Patriots used to be stable, but now that's all in flux because of the new coaching staff for the first time in a millennium.
And Patriots, the wide receiver core is terrible.
Right.
The whole philosophy, you generally don't want to get stuck with a defensive coach. Raheem Morris in Atlanta hopefully has learned from Sean McVay and isn't going to be super conservative. But, I disagree with you on one thing. I think this is going to be a great quarterback class. I think it's going to be super heavy. And I think all these guys are going to be, I think most of them hit.
Yeah, we're talking about J.J. McCarthy now and how he is basically really gotten that combine boost.
Yeah.
And, listen, he's a national champion. He's got their name recognition. He stayed, well, they all stay at college, but he was 3-year starter. I mean, we have a lot of history with J.J. McCarthy. It's just the fact is, has he really shown you enough with a team that was willing to hand the ball off 28 straight times against Penn State?
Yeah.
Or something
I think what you were both just saying is perfect, though.
What's that?
About all the Michigan coaches, McDonald in Seattle. I think it makes a lot of sense. Sit a year behind Geno Smith, and you got the receivers there. He even said I think he's doing a little bit of PR himself, JJ. He wants to throw to Jackson Smith and Jigba. Seattle.
Yeah, right.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Michigan man, McDonald goes there.
JJ's also got a lot of connections, weirdly, to the Raiders. The Raiders are into JJ McCarthy. Talk about a bad spot.
At least you get Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I mean, actually, at least you're indoors, and you do have Devontae Adams. But Luke Getsy was the OC there, who really struggled with Justin Fields. I would not pick the Raiders.
Running
for him.
quarterback. What did JJ McCarthy do? He ran a lot.
Yeah.
Look, and I'm not the biggest J.J. McCarthy fan, but to defend him a little bit, because he's taking a lot of shrapnel to start this show. What do you want from a quarterback? Accuracy, don't turn the ball over. I'm looking at his stats, 72% completion percentage last season, only 4 interceptions. In fact, he hasn't thrown more than 5 at any point in his career. We see these other quarterbacks, and Drake May being a guy we talked about earlier, guys that were way more loose with the football, and they were playing in offenses that allowed them to be more creative, allowed them to take more chances. JJ wasn't in that kind of offense, but guess what? J.J. McCarthy, outside of Caleb Williams coming out of high school, was lauded better than all of these guys.
Right.
And perhaps if J.J. McCarthy was playing at Oregon or was playing at Washington, he would have these kind of numbers. And to suggest that he's a guy that can throw the ball 72% completion percentage, that's not what Josh Allen was doing at Wyoming.
No, it was like 57%.
Josh Allen was, he was in like the Michael Vick territory when it came to like completion percentage. So we know he's accurate. We know he can take care of the football.
Well, it's easy to take care of the football when you're just turning around and handing it off. You can't throw an interception when Blake Corum is running right past you.
Right, but he did throw 22 touchdowns. It's not like this guy threw 5.
It's not like Drake May threw a million. None of these guys threw interceptions. It's college football. Drake May threw 16 interceptions in 2 seasons. That's 8 per season.
Let's also remember
that's half of what McCarthy threw.
With 100 more throws.
The Michigan defense, didn't at one point they were not allowing opponents like past their own 40? I mean, the Michigan defense, again, this is not McCarthy's fault. It's not his fault he played on this amazing team that won a national title. But the defense really did help out where you can play super conservative. He didn't have to take a lot of chances. Bo Nix was in some shootouts. Michael Penix was in some shootouts. They needed to come back and, it's second half comebacks and things like that. J.J. McCarthy didn't really have to do that.
Yeah, I think the interception number is a little confusing because he could go to, say, the Raiders and he could throw 15 picks next year. I think we have no idea how he'll be in a different situation.
Rookies in the NFL, though, throwing interceptions, to me, not the most egregious sin.
No.
I'm willing to overlook that a little bit when guys come in. It's moving fast. You don't know what's going on a lot of senses. And because you're a rookie quarterback, odds are you're probably on a pretty bad team.
But I think we saw C.J. Stroud have this phenomenal year this year. And part of the reason why there was optimism early on was this guy's throwing no picks.
Right.
It's like, okay, maybe they're losing some of these games. Maybe there's some of these games where his completion percentage was a little low, but he's not turning the ball over.
Yes.
Like, they were playing a much more conservative style to start the season than they did midway through the season. Later in the season, where we saw C.J. really light it up. So my thing is, if I'm looking at McCarthy, perhaps that's his career track.
Yeah.
Maybe he comes into the NFL, they're kind of playing a more conservative style to start the season, but they see he's not turning the ball over.
He's
and
clean.
that'll actually open things up for JJ and the offense.
Listen, you did right by him, EJ.
Defended him.
Trying to defend him. No, you did a good job. The thing is, this is one thing I think we're also going to get. We're talking about J.J. McCarthy right now and how he's like flying up draft boards post-combine to not only get to 4, but maybe even to 3, which seems really rich considering what Michigan was asking him to do in that offense. I think the other thing, too, we have to be, or maybe do we have to be careful about comparing every rookie who comes out now to C.J. Stroud? Stroud we knew was the most pro-ready guy coming out of college 2 years ago. We saw that he was great. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff game. Is C.J. Stroud, who just put together one of the greatest rookie seasons for a quarterback ever, is it fair to say that guys now that he's the bar now that these high picks have to live up to?
Well, Caleb Williams, yes. I mean, maybe not hit that bar, but yeah, you expect Caleb Williams to be good immediately. And if he's not, it's a huge disappointment. No, you can't grow as a quarterback. Where have you been, Maggie? Of course not. We can be patient. No way. I mean, people are ready to run Bryce Young out of town after 1 year in a terrible situation. No, I don't know. Should we? I don't know. Will we? Definitely not. All these guys are going to be expected to produce immediately. And the top 3 are going to be expected to start immediately. I think they're perfectly designed to, Jayden Daniels he's ready to go because he can run so well. I mean, he's the closest to Lamar Jackson we've seen since Lamar came into the draft. He's ridiculous at running and he's got a great arm. So yeah, these guys, I do think, do you think that we should be more patient and not compare them to that?
No, I just think CJ coming off of this amazing rookie season, and we just saw it, and these guys are going to be maybe at a bit of a disadvantage because that's like, well, CJ Stroud could do it, and he didn't have great receivers, and and he didn't have this, and there was a new coaching staff, and all of the things. Like CJ just sort of blew away any kind of excuses that you could give to somebody about why you struggle in your first season. CJ checked every box. And honestly, I think it's going to be tough for CJ. That's another conversation about how does he live up to his own rookie year. But we can talk about that because I know people like maybe someone sitting to my left has some very high aspirations for the Texans. But we'll get into that another.
Yeah, I mean, everyone says, now he is the best. Bobby Sloak's the best offensive coordinator. Nico Collins is a top 10 receiver. So now we look back and say, look at all the weapons CJ had. So we do a little Monday morning quarterback on that.
Didn't J.J. McCarthy throw to Nico Collins?
No? Yeah, he must have.
They must have, right?
Yeah.
What was Nico's draft?
Nah,
Nico was like 3 years ago. He might have had a 1 year with him. I don't think so, though.
Okay, we'll look that up.
Regardless, the expectations are going to be huge for these guys because this is going to be a great class. I think if it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, then all 4 are going to be expected to be C.J. Stroud. Fair or not?
I have a question, though, about J.J. McCarthy, because I've been kicking this around as someone who's been a skeptic of him as well, wondering if I've been unfair. Nobody can get out of their head that game where basically they didn't throw the football in the entire game against Penn State. We threw the ball 8 times, in the second half, they just ran the ball every play.
Okay.
Was that really a McCarthy indictment, or was that a Sharon Moore indictment? Like, did Jim Harbaugh say, hey, I'm not going to be at this game, don't screw this up. If we just run the ball 500 times, we're going to win the game. Like, J.J. McCarthy keeps getting dinged for that one game when perhaps it had anything to do with J.J. McCarthy, his ability. It could have just been Jim Harbaugh telling a first-time head coach saying, hey, we have a perfect season. Don't go screw it up by doing something stupid out there. Like, Jim Harbaugh, we know, is an offensive coach, and while Sharon Moore does call the plays, he is very much in tune with what the game planning is going to be. That could have been simply him going to that game with kid gloves, not for McCarthy, but for Sharon Moore.
So, yes, possibly that they just want to play super conservative. They were going through the sign stealing scandal. This was kind of one of the peaks of the sign stealing Connor Stallions thing. But that was also that was the second of 3 straight games where J.J. McCarthy did not score an offensive touchdown, did not throw for a passing touchdown. So, yes, I get it. That was the game plan. But what was the game plan against Purdue? What was the game plan against Maryland? Why is he not?
300 yards against Purdue.
Okay.
He didn't throw a touchdown. He threw 37 times.
And 141 against Maryland.
And what about the title game? He had 140.
140
and they blew him
against
out.
Washington.
So it's really hard.
Not as bad against Alabama.
By the way,
but it does though feel like that's the game. But it feels like the Penn State game is the one that really is an eye opener, because it's not like this guy's throwing the ball 8 times every game for his career. He's throwing the ball 15 to 20 to 25, some of these games 30 times. And we go to that Penn State game. Well, why didn't people have confidence in him to go out there and beat Penn State on the road? It's like, well, maybe Jim Harbaugh didn't have confidence in Sharon Moore to call a passing game against a great defense.
Okay, but we're talking about a guy maybe taking 4th overall. Yes, maybe taking too much out of that one game. Listen, we saw Mac Jones throw for 3 passes or whatever in an NFL game, and they won that game. It's sometimes whatever the game dictates.
But look, we same thing with Mac Jones though, and now he really is a scrub. But still, like that happened, and people are like, "Oh, this guy Mac Jones, he can't be good because they only ran the ball, he threw the ball 3 times in a win."
But they made the playoffs that year. I mean, that was less, and like this year they won the championship. I think you're right; it is an outlier. But there's other stuff you can point to with McCarthy.
That's what I said about Mac Jones. I'm like, if he was any good, they would throw it at least 5.
Like
And it turned out I was 100% right. I mean, that proved to be the most prophetic thing I've ever said. I mean, Mac Jones stinks, and that's why he wasn't throwing the ball.
But the difference, though, again, was that was Bill Belichick making a decision on his own to say, hey, because of the win or whatever. This guy didn't have his head coach. He didn't have his head coach, and they were trying to protect the perfect season. And he knows that they could spam running the football because they had juggernauts on the offensive line. Like,
and also
it's just totally different.
There's only one way. Penn State's offense was so bad this year. There's only one way Penn State beats you, and that's their defense gets scores.
Right, exactly.
So it was smart.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Harbaugh wasn't there for Ohio State either, and he had 20 attempts.
Ohio State's defense was not as good as Penn State's defense this year.
Okay.
Ohio State's defense was good this year.
No, I don't think it's good as Penn State's defense this year. Penn State's defense outplayed Ohio State when they played Ohio State at the Horseshoe.
16 for 20, 148 yards, 1 touchdown. It's just, yes, some of the stats look great, like the completion percentage, and some of the stats are just going to look like this is the guy who's going to be taken 4th overall pick, maybe 3rd. So this is someone who's going to edge out Jayden Daniels.
I think stats are important, but I think college football stats, I think, are just they're very deceiving. Some of these teams are running concepts that make throws very easy, and Michigan honestly is not one of those teams. They run a pro-style offense.
Right.
Like I'm not going to run to the guy that threw for 5,000 yards and say, well, he's just going to do that in the NFL. It's just totally different.
Okay, but what are we supposed to judge him on then? And maybe not all
arm
stats.
Strength, physical capabilities. I mean, the guy throws. He throws lasers. I mean, I've seen him make throws in windows where I'm like, that's an NFL throw, no question about that. Now he doesn't do it enough, and that's why I have some concerns. But it's not like there's not tape there to show that JJ could be that kind of guy.
Whatever, EJ. Why did you tell me this before I picked the Steelers to win the Super Bowl? Because Kenny Pickett had 42 touchdowns his senior year. Why did anyone tell me about Kenny Pickett?
We got to take a quick break. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, J.J. McCarthy. Does he deserve to be drafted amongst the Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels? 855-212-4CBS is setting him up for failure. We got a lot to do today. Coming up, there was a report about Jayden Daniels. He's debunked it. We'll get to the bottom of what's going on with the Heisman Trophy winner next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. It was an emotional night for me last night.
Really?
I was watching all the games, and for some reason, they showed a lot of Dartmouth basketball last night. Brought me back to Lead Arena, a home game against, I think, Harvard last night, showing the arena where I lit up several JV squads over the years.
Wow.
Yeah, I brought back that one layup I hit against Brown, those two foul shots against Yale JV. I was a bench warmer in high school, and the JV club was actually closer to club. But then I was also a bench warmer there. But they would put me in, and I got to tell you, I think I averaged about 5 points a game at Dartmouth JV, and that was a lot for me.
What is your so the Dartmouth players, obviously, they voted to unionize yesterday, so this is massive news. Bogusch is here. He has some details for us. What actually is what is your highlight from playing Dartmouth basketball for 4 years?
So we would play, you know how high schools have these fifth-year programs where future college recruits go, what was it? MCI we played MCI.
Yeah, Hunterdon Academy, these places.
MCI Maine Central beat us by about 60. They could have
a high school team beat you.
A sort of a high school team. MCI had 7 Division I players on its team.
So it's all post-grad.
Yeah, they're all fifth-year seniors. So they're all would-be freshmen in college, but they take the extra year to get recruited.
Right.
And I got dunked on about 5 times in 5 minutes.
Wait, I asked you for the highlight.
Yeah.
I
scored 14 points against Kimball Union Academy, I believe. It was a high school, and for some reason, I think their best player had the flu or something, and we blew them out, and I was on fire from the elbow. There were 12-foot set shots raining like there was fire, Maggie. It was ridiculous.
Yes, you had an old man game even then.
Oh, my God. I was mid-range because nobody knew to shoot from 3 back then. This is the 90s. It was a different game. I was so average.
Who
it was
was your
unbelievable.
comp?
My comp?
Pro comp.
A non-talented.
Sounds like George Mikan. I was hot from the elbow.
A non-talented Jeff Hornacek was how I was described by a lot of people.
What kind of player is that?
I got to really think about that.
Jeff Hornacek shot from the same place as I did. He was sort of a mid-range guy. He wasn't really a three-point shooter. He was really good, though, unlike me. So, and my high school team was amazing. We had all sorts of D1, D2, D3 talent, so I couldn't really get on the court there.
Yeah, also a little guy that you may have heard of.
Yeah, Kobe. I miss Kobe, but there were guys who were really talented before him. I'm not. The thing about I'm like Tom Brady though. I haven't lost any of that skill, Maggie. I can never run fast, and I tell you, I am dead. If you leave me open from 14 feet, watch out.
All right. Well, we've been warned. Let's see. Yeah, Kimball Union Academy, private school from Plainfield, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Nice job.
They had actually. They were really good, but they couldn't
Wildcats.
They made a fatal mistake that night. They left Perloff open from the wing.
This guy's not even on the was report.
Yeah, there was
What scouting report?
There was no tape of me.
17 passes it to 2.
There was no tape on me because I didn't bother taping JV games. There were no cell phone cameras then, so there's actually no footage of this. There's one grainy picture of me in a team shot.
It's a 100-point game.
Yeah, I actually carry the team shot. Have you guys ever seen the team shot? I have like a half mullet and I'm wearing a lame T-shirt underneath my uniform because I'm so scrawny. It is.
The T-shirt under the uniform is always interesting look.
Babe magnet. Now, was there a post-game picture of you at your locker with a piece of paper that said 14
16.
on it?
Did I say 4? Yeah. I can't even remember because I think I made up the number. Yeah, 14.
No footage.
I don't know. AI could probably do that.
Did it happen? It's your word against nobody.
I remember I probably had, I don't know, 7 or 8 legitimate double-digit scoring games in my entire basketball career. Summer League, YMCA League, and I remember every basket I made. I was not great, but I was enthusiastic.
Notable alumni from this Kimball Union Academy who Perloff lit up. F. Lee Bailey. Congrats. I believe he got disbarred. Bogusch is here.
That would have been big for Pete.
I don't know.
F. Lee Bailey.
Back to you, Bogusch. At the 2-2.
Most brilliant lawyer of all time.
I think he got disbarred, though.
Yeah, but he's the real deal. You want F. Lee Bailey on your side.
That is true. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2021, so may he rest in peace.
Yeah, he couldn't cover me back in the 90s, not at all.
He never recovered from that.
What would he say about Dartmouth players unionizing and transition?
And headline, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. Yes, Dartmouth men's basketball voting 13-2 yesterday to unionize, something that college athletes have never done before. The school is appealing the National Labor Relations Board decision that allowed the vote to happen in the first place. It also issued a statement yesterday to remind us that it does not consider the players school employees. The players would like the other Ivy League teams to take this same vote because they would like to all be unionized and therefore bargain collectively as one big group with the Ivy League. And that, of course, could take years because courts are involved and whatnot. So, but at least for yesterday, history from Dartmouth men's basketball.
Yeah, so this means that they could become employees and eventually the scholarship system could go away. And college basketball, you could say it takes a long time, but college sports are moving so fast. Look how fast NIL came. They lose every court case. Congress can't stand the NCAA. I think things could move quickly where there's a much more professional model, and Dartmouth's leading the way.
I'll tell you where this is going, to the Supreme Court. I think it's going to our highest court. And
they will crush the NCAA.
They will probably crush the NCAA, but I do think that's where it's going. Meanwhile, Dartmouth came out pretty strong against this. They're definitely going to fight it. I love what they say, listen, you're unionized now, which means you could be fired. It's like, yeah, no kidding. Did anyone see the footage of Deion Sanders walking into a locker room and saying, y'all better hit the portal?
Right, yeah.
Because I brought my luggage and it's Louis Vuitton. I think that's everyone getting fired in the room.
Yeah, but you got to get a guaranteed contract. I mean, you got to get a contract. At least you have a contract. You could lose your now you can lose your scholarship with no contract. So It's the same thing. It's tough. I mean, we could get into the argument about the value of a scholarship, but especially football, a lot of guys are getting underpaid. They bring more revenue than just a scholarship.
Oh, definitely. But if you don't have a guaranteed contracts mostly in the NFL, how are you going to get guaranteed contracts in college football? They're not the baseball union yet. It's not basketball. They don't have that kind of power yet.
Well, it's going to be an open market. So if you're a 4-star wide receiver, Alabama's going to offer you 3 years, $9 million, I would assume. Otherwise, somebody else will offer you that. So it's going to be an open market. It's going to be a lot more money than a scholarship.
Oh,
now,
definitely.
For Dartmouth college basketball players, I don't know what they're earning.
Well, the interesting thing to me is that the Ivy League still obviously lives in, maybe the only league that lives in what might actually be amateur college basketball.
Right. There
still.
are no scholarships.
And they're not on campus during the summer. Like basketball players are basically on campus for like 10 out of the 12 months practicing, whatever. But you can't be there in the summer. They don't take grad students. 4 years and you're done. You can't redshirt.
Yep.
It is still old school basketball. And then these kids are still fighting to get out of that system.
Listen, Bogusch, you can't be on campus in the summer when the JP Morgan internship is happening. Okay, if somebody's got to be PricewaterhouseCoopers, somebody has got to be holding things down at Deloitte.
Yeah,
you cannot possibly be in New Hampshire in the middle of the summer. You have to be on Wall Street.
Which is why it's very ironic. It's like, Dartmouth against unionizing. Surprise, surprise, right?
Well, I was just about to say, you're competing with the lacrosse team for all the Wall Street jobs.
Yeah, that's true.
You cannot mess around. I mean,
yeah.
Isn't Wall Street half Ivy League lacrosse players? It's
basically.
I think it's more than half.
So you can't be shooting hoops in May. You got to be here in Manhattan.
Anything else going on besides
Sure, of course. NBA basketball. The over-under was 1.5 Kelsey brothers in attendance at last night's Cavs-Celtics game in Cleveland. The over hit with Jason and Travis on hand for their bobblehead night, and everybody watched Dean Wade become a star.
Garland right side, Wade, 3 ball up, and good! Cavs lead! Dean Wade having the 4th quarter of his life.
Not D Wade, Dean Wade,
yeah,
who probably should have played in the Ivy League.
Looks like it, if we're going on stereotypes. But it's funny, between Dean Wade, which definitely sounds like D Wade in the highlights, and Kobe White from Chicago, who they just call Kobe in the highlights.
Yeah.
Like, did I just take a time machine back to 2008?
That was Tim Alcorn on Cavs Radio. Dean Wade, 5 threes, 20 points in the 4th quarter as Cleveland erased a 22-point hole, snapping Boston's 11-game win streak, 105-104. Dean Wade earned himself a post-game chat with Travis Kelce.
He said he was looking if basketball didn't work out for me and I wanted to be a backup tight end. I got good hands, so yeah, he was just he's like, yeah, that was just awesome. 4th quarter, blown up like that was great. So it was pretty cool.
Mr. Perloff.
The Cavs won that game? What is
Yes.
happening here? I turned that game off to watch the Sixers lose to the Nets. I can't believe they won.
That seems like a you problem.
Well, how'd the Knicks do, by the way?
We have nobody playing. Relax.
Regardless.
Neither do the
I can't
Sixers.
believe it's just dawning on me that you were talking about the same game because that was a crazy Celtics lead.
Yeah, it's the largest fourth quarter comeback in Cavs history.
Yeah, which is hilarious. And I heard the call was like, this is one of the great comebacks in the history of the Cavs. I'm like, you came back in the finals down 3-1.
Good point.
Single game
Good
regular
point.
season pre-April. A lot of qualifications.
Right. On a Tuesday.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
When Kelsey giveaways happen, there's a lot. The Suns outlasted the Nuggets in OT 117-107. KD scored 8 of his 35 in extra time. The Mavs lose at home to the Pacers 137-120, despite Luka posting 39 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists. That's his fourth consecutive 30-point triple-double. And the Magic 101-89 winners in Charlotte. Orlando's now 36-26. First time it's been 10 games over 500 since April of 2012. For the first time in 17 years, a team has repeated as the outright Big Ten men's basketball regular season champ. It's third-ranked Purdue, thanks to a 77-71 win at number 12, Illinois. Zach Edey, 28 points and 8 boards. 9 players ended up being tagged before yesterday afternoon's deadline in the NFL. The franchise list includes Bucs safety Antoine Winfield Jr., Colts wideout Michael Pittman, and Bears corner Jalen Johnson. And let's finish with some hockey. Jack Michaels, Oilers Radio, a clip I don't have to play for you right now because it's missing from my script. Leon Draisaitl, an overtime winner, 2-1. They get it in Boston. Edmonton's won 5 in a row. I'm a dope. Back to you guys.
Do you want to just do the play-by-play?
No. I mean, I could probably find it somewhere, but it would be nice to actually do my job correctly.
Man, you
For
can't
once.
win them all.
Well, I mean,
Bogusch,
I'd like to win most of them.
I was telling Maggie I might jump on that Oilers bandwagon pretty hard. Is that
Might.
To McDavid.
There it is. Here.
Yeah.
Sit back and enjoy.
He'll come down the left. He'll get it in front to Draisaitl. Scores! Leon Draisaitl from the right side, and the Oilers win this 2-1 in overtime.
Music to your ears, huh?
I'll take that back. You got to have that cut in there, Bogusch.
Yeah, I just forgot to put it in my little thing.
I want to hear
gotta
you
transfer
do that.
it.
You got to do that call.
I can't do that call. I'm very jealous of that guy's voice.
You ever
I
done
need that
hockey?
growl.
Hockey, you got to yell.
Yeah, but you got to have that like old school bourbon and cigar effect on
They
your.
all also sound like that. They all do.
Yeah.
It's something about it's also the same goal sound, the horn. So that kind of
Yeah.
gives a similarity to every single, Is someone else going to come up with something besides the horn?
Oh.
I know it's iconic. I love it too. The whistle, like the train whistle.
Well, we got a
whatever.
couple of cannons. Columbus fires off a cannon, which
like
is
that.
startling at times because it's a cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not like the Buccaneers too, right? Like
Yeah.
like the Bucs. That makes sense for Columbus.
Well, because they're the Blue
Jackets.
Jackets, and even though their logo is a blue B, I do think that there is some kind of Army reference,
okay.
or so that's why the cannons
Got
exist.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that safe? An indoor cannon?
I'm assuming it's a blank.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But maybe there's a section you don't want to sit in Columbus.
They're wild in Ohio.
I mean, all those
Shoot off
holes
real
in the
cannons.
roof. If it's raining, why is it
Shrapnel,
raining on us?
whatever.
Oh, the cannon blew another hole in the roof.
It's like it's an outdoor arena. It's like no, they're just having a really great
Yeah,
season.
it's the only place where attendance changes during the game because you lose fans thanks to the cannon.
Yeah, 18,010. Oh, 18,009.
Yeah, count them early.
Bogusch, thank you. And that's a rare time that Bogusch doesn't have the highlights ready to go. You're like,
Once a week.
You're hitting a JJ McCarthy like clip with accuracy.
It's like watching Mo Rivera blow a save. It's like, wow, you don't see that very often.
It really is. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer. Coming up, one interesting situation with the Cleveland Browns that we're monitoring. What is that? We'll tell you next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Kicked off the show talking about J.J. McCarthy, Perloff. You and I not really sure if he deserves to be flying up the draft boards as he has. It's not that we don't get it. Coming out of the combine, he was super impressive, and there's usually a guy who gets a bump. Just really weren't sure why it was J.J. McCarthy. Rich is in Chicago, has a thought on it. Good morning, Rich. How are you, dude?
Good morning, guys. Hey, I want to give you a little update. He's a Chicago kid.
Yeah.
And I saw McCarthy play in high school. And they threw it all over the lot. He won 2 state championships. He transferred to IMG in Florida during the pandemic year. They canceled football schedule here. So he went to Florida. He's a 5-star recruit. Now, I think what happened, he got jammed up in a system with road graders for offensive linemen at Michigan and a great defense. And to Perloff's comment, you don't have to throw the ball over the lot with that play calling. It's really the coaches and the play calling that kind of set him back. But when you look at one stat, which is why I think he's coming in, he's growing up on the board, his yards per attempt.
Yeah, 9 yards per attempt, I saw.
Yeah, 9.8.
Yeah, it's not bad, Rich. It's not, Rich, I'm sorry, you kind of sound like you're in some kind of hostage situation. Are you all right?
No, I'm okay. No.
Okay.
Hey, if you live in Chicago, you're in a hostage situation.
No, I didn't mean that, Rich. Thank you for the call. It's the audio sounded a little distorted, like you were talking to us from an unknown location, or you're a whistleblower or something.
You know, Rich hit on something that I've noticed with J.J. McCarthy. I think that his high school success and how big a recruit he was for Michigan plays into his draft success. And we see that in the NBA all the time.
Definitely.
You know, the Sixers took Markelle Fultz because they loved him in high school, even though he was not great. He was good at Washington.
Didn't make the tournament.
But, yeah, I think that Caleb Williams, a little bit of that, too. I think that these reputations build over time, and I do think it matters where you came from, who you were at a certain point. And I think J.J. McCarthy is being helped by high school, and I think that's kind of ridiculous.
Well, it's one thing if you're being helped by high school and we don't have a lot of film of you in college. You got tons of film of you of college. You know, you had a lot of opportunities. And listen, I think that Rich's point, EJ has made this point, Colton has made this point. It's a fair one about JJ, which is, what was he being asked to do? He executed the game plan. We don't know if he was a surgeon or an artist, because he had to be a surgeon, right? Because that's what they were asking about him in Michigan. They wanted him to hand the ball off. The coaching staff, this is how they wanted to win. They had an all-time great defense the last 2 years. Why would you do anything but play conservatively? And yes, he does have 9 yards per attempt on the minimal amount of passes that he did throw, which is a pretty good clip.
Yeah, I mean, the reason you would not be conservative, because it's hard to imagine you can actually win all these games being that conservative, but Michigan had an easy schedule. That helped. If they were in the SEC, do you think they could have done that? Not in a million years.
Well, and they might have had a little help with some videotape.
Oh, there you go.
I'm sorry. I mean, are we just going to forget this thing happened?
But you don't need videotape to hand the ball off and run for 5 yards a clip. That they just sort of manhandled everybody.
Yeah, I also think it's a little unfair to say that they couldn't do this in the SEC. I mean, they did beat Alabama.
They beat Alabama. Yes.
Great game.
But could they have really hidden the passing game the entire season like they did in that? They had a very weak schedule. I don't think
the SEC was that great this year.
Well, it wasn't great this year, but the Big Ten, I mean, Penn State, their big rival, was really disappointing. I think Ohio State was way down because they didn't have a quarterback right. It wasn't a great Big Ten either.
No, it wasn't. But I think that SEC, I think, got by on name alone a lot last season.
Listen, the better quarterbacks were in the Pac-12.
Right.
That's for sure. And Jayden Daniels, I mean, in the SEC did win the Heisman, so it wasn't all totally stacked, but I think the better quarterbacks were in the Pac-12.
They beat the SEC champion and they beat the undefeated Pac-12 champion playing this way. So, they didn't have to do what they did against Penn State, against Alabama and Washington. No,
but it's
still but I mean, that Penn State game they did once. Again, they didn't play that way against Ohio State. Like they've shown that they can throw the ball a little bit. I do think the high school thing, I don't want to say it's crazy to say, hey, we know what he was coming out of high school, because it's more about the physical traits where you say, okay, maybe we're not seeing him throw the ball over a lot. It's like, well, like, does he have the capability to do that? And J.J. McCarthy, in their eyes, they see a guy who has a cannon for an arm, a guy who has great mobility, a guy who can see the field really well. Like, if you do see those traits coming into college, you may say, hey, maybe he's not asked to do it on the college level, but we know he can do that from what we saw in high school. I don't think it's too crazy, especially for quarterbacks. I think it's different than basketball.
It's amazing. I'm looking at Michigan's schedule. It is shockingly easy last year. I mean, it was bad. They didn't play anybody until they got to the playoff, until they got to Ohio State, Iowa in the championship game. So I do think that's an indictment too. We don't really have a great sense if J.J. McCarthy was in a shootout, how he'd do.
No, I think the closest thing you probably saw to a shootout was TCU.
Yeah,
right. And that's what I was going to say. This guy's
2 touchdowns, 2 picks.
This guy's a three-year starter.
That's good.
You got to go back to what he did the year before.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the high school stuff comes into play as much when you have as much college game tape on the guy. Like, yeah, pedigree, okay, that worked with Trevor Lawrence, and we definitely take it into account. But it's not like we don't have game film on J.J. McCarthy at the college level.
No, but I'm just saying when it comes to why we didn't see enough of it, you can say, okay, well, we know his pedigree is he can throw the ball.
Right.
It's like a guy coming and say, okay, why didn't they throw the ball deep to this guy enough? You say, well, we know he runs a 4.3, so we know he can take top of the defense. He just wasn't asked to do that. That's what I mean when it comes to that high school tape.
Yeah. J.J. McCarthy becoming the lightning rod of this draft.
Definitely the lightning rod of the Maggie and Perloff show.
Yeah, a lot on the line here for JJ. Coming up, we've got Brown stuff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. She's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Man, the Cleveland Browns, they got problems. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I think it signals, Perloff, that you have problems when you invested all these draft picks and all this money into Deshaun Watson, and there's one report they're excited to bring back or trying to bring back Joe Flacco, and everyone's like, the villagers rejoice because Joe Flacco is the guy you saw help get a Browns team over the finish line into the playoffs. Now, don't ask what happened in the playoffs. That was not Joe's greatest game. 2 pick sixes. It was bad in a blowout loss to the Houston Texans. However, the idea that Joe Flacco would have to be a big part of what the Browns are doing next season, that's a bad sign for the quarterback situation.
Well, where do you get big part? I think it makes so much sense. First of all, who wants Joe Flacco otherwise? There's not a robust Joe Flacco market out there. He was basically out of the league last year, and I haven't heard anyone offering him a starting job. That's not even being discussed. So he's going to be a backup somewhere. This is a perfect backup spot. You have an injury-prone start. I don't think it's an indictment of Deshaun to bring in Joe Flacco. We know Deshaun has a physical style. This is such a no-brainer. What's the downside of bringing in Joe Flacco?
I think you're going to get people who are further questioning the Deshaun Watson deal in your own city if you feel like you need to have Joe Flacco. At some point, Deshaun has to pay off this contract, right? At some point, you have to see something from this guy. The idea that you could have Flacco sitting there, I think really messes things up because Flacco is going to be that definition of the backup quarterback that fans are going to be clamoring for if they start off the season 2-2 or 1-3 or something like that.
I think this is an NFL team. What do they care what the fans say in the sense that they have to, first of all, they have to try and win as many games as they can. And this is the move to win as many games. You saw what happened last year. Watson got hurt and Flacco led to the playoffs.
Yep.
I don't see Flacco as a threat to him. Because first of all, it's not like Deshaun Watson didn't win last year. He was 5-1 as a starter. He's kind of a conservative quarterback, ironically, does not throw the ball all over the yard. So you're a defense first team, and I assume Nick Chubb comes back. You're a defense run team. Watson will be fine. Watson doesn't have to do that much, and Flacco doesn't have to do that much. The other thing, too, if you look at Flacco's trajectory, he started off really hot.
Yeah.
Then a few games on tape, and everyone was picking him off left and right.
Yeah.
I think Browns fans are savvy. The way this team is built, Watson is a better quarterback. He's not going to throw. He has never thrown a lot of picks, and I don't think he will. I think Watson's fine here. And if he could actually be healthy and just be okay, this is a good team.
Yeah, it could be a good team, but I think you open up the door here where Deshaun Watson with Joe Flacco behind it. I'm not saying he'd be feeling footsteps from a guy who's played 18 years in the league or whatever Joe has done. But listen, Deshaun, I think this is more actually about Deshaun because last year, you mentioned it, yes, he was 5-1, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
The year before, 3-3, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You just have not gotten nearly the return. We talked about the Russell Wilson trade and whether that's the worst one in history. I'll tell you what's going to rival it if Deshaun doesn't start playing better is going to be this contract, and it's going to be this trade is going to be the one that tops all those lists. So I think there is a lot here for Deshaun. This is a major season for him, if he's ever going to make good on this contract in this trade, it's got to start happening.
Yeah.
And the fact that Flacco could come in and he could do what Deshaun couldn't and finish the season for them, I don't love this situation for Cleveland. It screams drama to me.
I think if you're Cleveland, you are thrilled if Joe Flacco comes back. You're so excited because you can't have DTR back there. He was terrible. You have a really good team. I think last year's formula showed you if say Deshaun gets nicked up for 3 games in the middle of the season and comes back, don't you want a Flacco to hold down the ship? You have to win games. You can't worry about the fans here. I think you have to, as a football organization, say what is giving us the best chance to win. I understand what you're saying about the drama, but the reality is it's a guaranteed contract. Deshaun's not going anywhere.
Right.
And I think even the fans understand that. You have to give him every shot. And I'm not sure why Deshaun wouldn't be just fine next year. What has he indicated on the field when he's actually on the field that he's that bad?
Well, it's not, the numbers aren't great.
They're fine. I mean, his best game was the game before he got hurt, right?
Yeah, against the Ravens. But I don't know if that's the one game that kind of feels a little bit like the outlier to all the other games.
That was one half, too.
It was a half.
Terrible first half.
Remember, the first half was rough, and then the second half, they came back in that game. You're right.
But Cleveland, they had a lot of injuries last year. They obviously are not meant to be a high-flying offense. Like Joe Flacco came in there with throwing for 350 yards and then another 75 to the opponent. I think Deshaun is the right fit for this team, and they're kind of built around him. Honestly, they just need medium play from their quarterback. That's the thing. And Myles Garrett will
$230 million guaranteed
that's
for
called
medium
a sunk cost.
play.
That's a sunk cost. I know that it doesn't matter. Whatever the money is, it is what it is. They still have to go out and win games. Yeah, they made a mistake with the size of that contract, but the mistake's already been made. The question
the 3
is
first-round picks.
The question is, what gives us the best chance to win? Why look back at what happened? Just say, hey, what gives us the best chance to win in 2024? And it's obviously signing Flacco.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So you're welcome to weigh in on Cleveland. Should they bring back Joe Flacco? I think a lot of the fan base, the moment that Deshaun throws a couple picks, is going to say, well, Joe Flacco throws picks. The moment of Deshaun is ineffective is going to want Flacco there. Okay, yesterday was a really big day in the NFL, which is franchise tag day. It was the deadline. So what did that mean? That means that we now know who are the true free agents who are available in the NFL.
Yep.
We'll talk about the franchise tags a little bit later in the show, but the bigger thing to us is now who is actually available, who is on the open market, who is going to be taking the tours, and who's going to be, coaches waiting at their door at midnight. Does that happen anymore? Let's play a little free agent matchmaker, Maggie and Perloff style. We'll give you a guy and tell you the perfect team for it. And any chance we can play the NFL films music, we're going to do.
Okay. So how are we going to do this?
Give me a free agent and give me the perfect fit?
I have a perfect fit. I think you have a different fit for this guy.
Okay.
Saquon Barkley, free agent, could return to the Giants. We'll see. But if he's on the open market for real, the perfect fit is Baltimore. And I'll tell you why. Saquon can be McCaffrey. I like Saquon as a receiver.
Yep.
Now, he's been up and down as a Giants receiver, but he was amazing his rookie year. He caught everything.
Yeah, that was Eli Manning throwing him the
So,
ball.
because what Lamar Jackson has sort of lacked is a consistent short game in the passing game. And I think Saquon could be perfect for him to have a safety valve and be a little bit like McCaffrey in San Francisco, a little weapon to take him over the top. If you want to bring in Saquon Barkley to be your primary star, I think that limits how many games you can win. I think he should be a piece like McCaffrey is in San Francisco. McCaffrey isn't the only star there. If he goes to Baltimore, that is going to help Lamar Jackson so much. I don't think you pay a ton for him. Obviously, the Giants didn't want to do a $12 million tag. If you could get him for $8 million there, that is the one fit that I like the most for him.
Okay. We're doing a little free agent matchmaker. For Saquon Barkley, I like the Houston Texans. A lot of people have said it. I think it's not obvious necessarily, but if you are going to take this team to the next level, I have a lot of respect for Devin Singletary, but I do think giving C.J. Stroud as many weapons as possible is very important for year two. You're building this thing. You got the cheap quarterback. This is not a time to break the bank for Saquon Barkley, but I do think $8 million is really well spent if you're the Texans.
Anything that encourages their offense coordinator, Bobby Slowick, to hand the ball off in first and second down is a bad thing for this Houston team. They were killing me last year by their conservative offense. You're right, it is a good fit. It scares me a little bit. If they do sign him, everyone's going to say, oh, this is going to put them over the top as a Super Bowl team. A running back rarely has done that.
Yep.
They'll overhype that signing.
Okay, some free agent matchmaker. Can I give you 2 people that I want to go to the same team?
Sure.
Can we do it that way? Listen, I don't know what Jerry Jones meant by all in. I don't think Jerry even knew what he meant by all in. But let's start dreaming a little bit about the Cowboys, okay? If the Cowboys are going to start dabbling in free agency, I want the combination of Christian Wilkins from the Miami Dolphins, who is a massive defensive tackle, 28 years old, run stopper, 9 sacks, though, even last year. This guy is awesome. Miami has not really done a great job in terms of allocating resources. They've got to pay Tua. So it's not because this guy's bad that he's available. It's just because of the circumstances of the team. So I would do a poo-poo platter combination of Christian Wilkins going to the Cowboys, help stop the run, and then Josh Jacobs to the Cowboys because obviously Tony Pollard is not going to be there. We don't believe. They were lacking a run game. And I like actually Josh Jacobs even a little bit more than Saquon Barkley, quite frankly. And give me a Josh Jacobs, Christian Wilkins. Now we're all in, Perloff.
How on earth are you going to pay for that?
Well, Dak's going to have to get to the table real fast here and restructure.
All right, Senator Perloff.
First of all,
we need to come together, bipartisanship.
Let's be realistic. You're going to have about $6 million in cap space. So multiply that by 5, and you might get even a shot at Christian Wilkins. I want to bring a different player to Dallas.
Okay.
I want to bring an old running back who can be had for cheap in Derrick Henry. Because what do the Cowboys lack? At the end of the day, they're not tough enough in the trenches. No team with Derrick Henry can be intimidated by another team. You have the scariest running back. Even if he is one of the slowest running backs in the league next year, at least you can run over people with Derrick Henry. Give me some toughness. Don't give me Josh Jacobs and his 3.6 yards per carry. Christian Wilkins I will take, but I don't think you can afford him. I think Derrick Henry is a piece that they'll actually be able to pay for, and I think that he's at least give them an element that they did not have last year. Because I thought at the end of the day, they walked into that game against Green Bay and they said, you know what, we're too soft.
You know, actually, we're probably both wrong if we're playing NFL matchmaker, free agent matchmaker with the Dallas Cowboys. The answer is probably Calvin Ridley.
I don't know if they can afford him either. I've seen $25 million a year for Calvin Ridley.
I mean, they need wide receiver help.
Okay. You know what? The answer is probably nothing. Because do you think they're going to do Dak in time to get one of these free agents by next week?
Do Dak in time is a funny way to put it. I think we'll talk about that because now the clock is ticking. Now that the franchise tag and free agency is about to start, what are they going to do with Dak's contract? We got some new reporting on that.
I'll do another Cowboys-related one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Left tackle Tyron Smith, 33. Obviously, the Cowboys didn't want to pay him anymore. He's been hurt a lot. How about he goes to the Cowboys' historical rival, the Washington Commanders, because you're going to have a rookie quarterback. I'm worried about these rookie quarterbacks. You need to protect these dudes at all costs. And I assume I'm leaning Jayden Daniels, number 2 pick. I know he's a mobile quarterback, but I don't want to see it like Justin Fields' first year in Chicago where he just steps 3 steps back and gets mauled. I'm over-investing in Tyron Smith to help my young quarterback. And if you have a young quarterback, you're going to have space by definition. We know the Commanders have some space. That would be my spot for him.
Okay, a little more free agent matchmaker. How about let's want to do some quarterbacks?
Sure.
Got 2 big ones on the board. Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield. Kirk Cousins, let's not overthink this thing. Back to Minnesota. That is the place he should go, whether it's a bridge to the next guy. You have the weapons. You want to stay competitive in the NFC North. I know this is the boring answer, but I think it's the right one. It'd be on brand for Kirk Cousins to have a boring answer, and I think that is Minnesota. I'm not buying the Atlanta stuff right now.
I got to tell you, I'm a sucker for free agent smoke, and there's so much Atlanta. Feels like every smart reporter who covers the NFL has been told, link Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. I assume this is Kirk Cousins' agent who's driving this. I think it's time for a change. I think Minnesota should start over because they've been trying with Kirk Cousins. I'd like to see him back there. I'm a sort of Cousins to Jefferson fan. I think it's happening. I think he's going to Atlanta. I think Atlanta wants to maximize all those first-round picks on offense, and Kirk will be a Falcon.
Okay, you're buying the hype. And then the other one, and the last one we'll do is Baker.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, to me, this is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm going to tell you why. I think the Raiders are going to try to trade up, and they're going to try to get this rookie quarterback, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get the assets, right, to do it, because they're 12th? Yes. No. I think
somewhere right around
13,
there.
I believe the Raiders are. It's far. It's far to go up. And then even if you do have somebody, they're 13. Even if you do have somebody, are they going to be ready to go right away? You have veterans on this team for the Raiders. Like, we were all talking about how this doesn't make any sense for them to start over with a rookie quarterback when you have Devontae Adams, you got Max Crosby. This is a veteran-laden team. Baker Mayfield, I can see it. Have someone a little moxie in that AFC West, tried to go toe-to-toe with Jim Harbaugh and toe-to-toe with Sean Payton and toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and kind of give you a little bit of an identity. Everyone loves Baker as a leader. Can't watch a broadcast without people talking about how much of a leader this guy is. So the Raiders are lacking in identity. Maybe Antonio Pierce gives them a little bit. I think Antonio Pierce and Baker would actually get along quite well. Seem a little chip on the shoulder guys. I like Baker of the Raiders.
I feel like this is fancy Brian Hoyer on the Raiders. I do not like that fit because I think the Raiders need to go young and actually rebuild. It's obvious for Baker. He's got to go back to Tampa Bay. This is a perfect marriage. Where did he transform his entire image? Where does he have good receivers? Where does he have a good offensive line? Where is the weather warm? This is perfect. Baker has always sort of found the banana peel PR-wise, and he's perfect. You're right. He's completely transformed all his negatives into positives. I think that he should have loyalty to Tampa Bay. I think it's going to be somewhat expensive for them, but if it was equal money, he has to go to Tampa Bay. And even if it was, say, $3 million more to go to Vegas, I would stay in Tampa Bay for him. I think it's going to be really tough to win in that AFC West.
No, it will be. And listen, Antonio Pierce did come out and say we have to stop with the Band-Aids, right?
Yeah.
We need someone. But again, I think it's how much are you going to mortgage and how much of the future are you going to mortgage to try to get up to get a quarterback? You might not know who's there. You might not have your pick. Like, how high can they actually get?
Get a Bo Nix at 13. What's wrong? Unless he goes
to be there.
Give me Michael Penix. He feels like a Raider.
He does kind of feel like a Raider.
Yeah.
All right, that's your free agent matchmaker.
Throws those long spirals to Devontae Adams. I like that.
I think we should put this all like on the record. You know, we can't just like do this sort of willy-nilly. It's got to be down on paper, maybe under glass, and see whose predictions actually come true.
Oh, were these? See, okay.
I said I didn't know these were. I thought these
are
were
shoulds or will.
Wishes.
Come on.
You just had Christian Wilkins going to Dallas. You have to explain the salary cap to me.
Well, we have actually some updates on what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys and how big of players will they be in free agency. Some new comments have come to light. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I'm curious about this call from our friend Big Dave in Kentucky. Perloff is wrong. That's all I see on the call screener. Dave, when am I right? When do you ever agree with me? What am I wrong about this time?
Do you realize that your justification for propping up this Deshaun Watson deal, the $230 million contract, set aside all the off-the-field stuff, do you realize that your justification for that was he shouldn't have to do that much? He'll be okay?
What? Okay.
He should be doing everything. He should have to play defense for all the money they're paying him. He should have to get out there and play corner.
Dave, the money is gone. It's spent. So you should not let your thinking be dictated by what you did 2 years ago by signing Deshaun Watson. The question is, what is the best move in front of the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, but here's my thing. I mean, to kind of dissect your comment there, no NFL team in today's era is ever going to make it very far with a quarterback that doesn't have to do that much. I mean, the days of the Ravens' defenses and things like that, ironically, we were talking about Joe Flacco,
Yeah.
Those days are gone. This will go down as the most Cleveland Browns thing ever. I mean, this is the dumbest.
It's got some
thing.
competition.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I'm not hating on Deshaun Watson, but to pay him that, if you want to bring him back, you want to bring him in, reasonable contract, a lot of incentives, that type of thing. That's one thing. But to pay him a record-setting contract, I mean, his numbers, Maggie was right. Before he got hurt, his numbers stunk. I mean, his QBR was like 48. I think he had 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And I'll tell you something else. Rolling all the way back to the days of the Texans, do you realize that their record? How long was he at Houston? 4 years, 6 years? What was it?
He was there for 4.
4 years. You understand that their record was basically the same after he got there as it was before he got there?
28-25 was the record. He had the big playoff comeback against Buffalo, which was definitely a highlight.
That dude kept Bill O'Brien employed for 4 years. That's a feat.
But again, with Deshaun Watson, it seems like everyone, like Maggie just said, okay, he had one comeback. He had one game. I mean, you're paying some guy $230 million.
No, that's
based on.
That is ridiculous. Deshaun Watson was good in Houston. But let me ask you a question. Sorry, changing the topic. If you need your quarterback to do a lot, why are we talking about J.J. McCarthy as a top 5 pick, Dave?
Well, I can't argue that.
Well, I don't think J.J. McCarthy should be a top 5 pick.
Yeah, me and Maggie are the same.
I can't argue it because I agree. I get your point. But 2 wrongs don't make a right.
It's that kind of logic from a former warden that we need. You're right. You've seen a lot of 2 wrongs. They definitely don't make a right, Dave. You made a career out of it. Dave, thank you so much. And, we'll get your thoughts on the Cowboys in just a little bit. Great to talk with you because we did get some new reporting from Adam Schefter that we found pretty interesting about the Cowboys. And the fact that they have not had any meaningful talks with Dak Prescott and his agents about a contract extension. Guys, it's a week before free agency starts. I believe it's March 13th, right? And we're sitting here March 6th.
Yeah.
Can you put together some kind of contract extension, maybe almost from scratch in a week? Maybe you can. Deadline spur action.
I'm reading
yeah.
Dak's agent, Todd France, is called the master of the last-second deal.
Oh, okay.
And Todd France, by the way, is kind of got a little Scott Boras. He gets his guys paid. So I don't totally buy that there's no communication. So Schefter reported there's no communication. Why would he report that? Somebody got that out there to spur action. So maybe they're sort of tinkering because common sense says that they will extend it, right? Is that where we both are?
Well, this is why I bring up the free agency. It's you have to, if you actually do want to all in or you do want to spend in free agency, then something has to give a little bit here with Dak's his contract because his cap hit's so high. Now, listen, there's a couple other little maneuvers they can do to lower the cap hit, but not the type of relief you need if you actually want to be a player in free agency.
$59.5 million cap hit. I know the cap went up, but that still prohibits you a lot.
Insane.
It's going to be hard to compete. You linked him to Christian Wilkins, a defensive tackle. It would be amazing there. I just don't see until this Dak deal gets done that that's even a possibility.
Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines.
Guys, good morning again. New day, new funky top 5 list in the NBA. Here's Tracy McGrady on Instagram unveiling his top 5 players currently.
My current top 5 NBA players right now is Shea, Luka, Jokic, JT, and KD. Those are my top 5.
So again, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Jason Tatum, and Kevin Durant. No mention of Giannis, and T-Mac explaining that Giannis won't get through Tatum and the Celtics in the playoffs, so Tatum makes his top 5 instead of Giannis.
4 or 5 ain't bad.
What about Embiid? Is he not in, because he's hurt right now? He's not in this conversation?
We didn't get an Embiid explanation.
He's clearly the best. I mean, he's one or two best players.
Okay, but if he's using this logic to say Giannis won't beat Tatum, Embiid isn't beating Tatum.
Right. Also, he's not. He might not play against Tatum. He might not get up.
A healthy Embiid is incredibly talented. Is there anybody else? What about the old guys?
Those are his 5 top 5.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's so obviously LeBron's not on it. Is he still in the top 5 list?
No Steph Curry?
No Steph Curry. I was wondering about Curry and LeBron. That's what I was.
I would say I don't think LeBron is top 5. He's top 10 probably.
Yeah.
Steph probably has a little bit more of a case, but I don't hate his 5. I think the Giannis thing is the one I don't agree with because I don't think that it makes sense because he's going to lose to Jason Tatum. I don't know. He's going to lose to the Celtics. He's not going to lose to Jason Tatum.
Yeah, right.
So I think that's a little bit of a narrow way to look at it, but otherwise I thought he's pretty good. I like it.
Do you take out Shea or you take out Durant to put
KD?
Giannis
Get him out of here.
Okay.
Get him out of here. There's no way Kevin Durant's top 5 player.
If I gave you a neutral team this year and EJ, I said you could have Shea or you can have Steph Curry. Who you taking?
Ooh, a neutral team.
You want to, by the way, you want to advance in the playoffs and win a title. That's your goal, not to have fancy regular season stats.
What a caveat.
A neutral team, I might take Shea.
Well, look, that's good because you'll get to the golf course earlier.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, Cancun, back to Bogusch.
I'm just saying, Shea's got great regular season numbers. He'll probably win the MVP. But
but
Steph's
Shea's
gonna
never
play
been to the
deep.
playoffs. Why do you assume he's not going to play well in the playoffs?
These young teams, because I watch the playoffs every year, and I watch Steph and LeBron win a bunch of playoff games against these young kids.
Listen, this is going to be a real test for Perloff because, the Victor Wembanyama
Did not go well.
didn't go well.
He's still defending that, by the way.
13 wins.
Is not
13
going
and
well.
49.
He
We're
said
back
he was
on
going to
that.
be a bust, and that's not happening.
Well, he looks like he's pretty good, so that's going to be an early L here for Perloff.
I'll take that L. I will admit that's not ideal.
Now, really, it's like, all right,
I like Shai Gilgeous, but
if he gets to the Western Conference Finals, man, you might be 0 for 2 on predictions this year.
well, I mean, are they even going to get out of the first round? I mean, they're going to face.
He's putting it out
And
there,
again,
people.
Here we go.
So if they get it, depends where they land. They don't want to be number one because you could end up with the Lakers or the Warriors in the first round. It'll be. I think the Thunder are underdogs in that series. Don't you think Vegas would like the old teams?
Probably just by experience, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
But some of that also is just who people would bet.
Right.
So some of that isn't necessarily Vegas saying, "Oh, the Lakers and Warriors are better." It's that they know people will bet Lakers Warriors.
So Minnesota's the number one seed, EJ, and I know you don't think they're winning a playoff series.
They scare me. I don't know if I say they don't without winning a playoff series, but I would not pick them to come out of the West. No, I wouldn't. I would not give them a great shot. But I trust Shai. Sorry, I trust Shai over Ant in terms of getting them farther. That's part of the reason.
Is Edwards going to shoot right-handed or left-handed? Just kidding. Bogusch, back to you.
So Luka looked the part of a top 5 player last night. 39 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. His fourth consecutive 30-point triple-double. But the Mavs fell at home to the Pacers, 137-120. So they've now dropped 3 straight and 5 of 6.
Just be better, man. I don't know. Defensively, we got to be better.
And the Mavs are 8th in the West, 2 games behind the Suns for the 6th seed. Phoenix, a 117-107 win. In OT in Denver, KD scoring 8 of his 35 at extra time. The Hawks, a 116-100 win at the Knicks. And the Celtics' 11-game win streak ending in Cleveland, 105-104. Boston led by 22 3 minutes into the fourth quarter. Men's college hoops, senior night at the Dean Dome, Armando Bacot, 14 points, 5 boards, in career game number 162, which seems preposterous. His 7th-ranked Tar Heels took care of Notre Dame 84-51 to clinch at least a share of the ACC regular season title. The Seahawks releasing safeties Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs yesterday, plus tight end Will Dissly. That creates over $25 million in cap space. The Chargers showed the door to linebacker Eric Kendricks to save $6.5 million, and the Dolphins cut loose starting inside linebacker Jerome Baker, saving $9.8 million towards the cap. And let's see if I messed this one up.
Side of the goal for Besser, back to Miller, one-timer, he scores! JT Miller drives it through Cam Talbot from the top of the left circle, and the Canucks come from behind to win it in LA, 2-1 in overtime, and JT Miller's got his 31st goal of the season.
You hate to see the puck going through the goalie. Canucks radio, Vancouver, the 2-1 win, becoming the third team with 40 victories this season. They lead the Western Conference by 2 points over Dallas.
That guy wasn't as gravelly as the other hockey calls. He was a little more high-pitched.
Yeah, who's that guy?
Yeah, this is probably the other group of hockey announcers that have a strangely high-pitched voice.
Okay.
There's no in between. It's like prepubescent or it's like grandfather who's in 3 world wars.
I like that sort of all or nothing. You
Yeah.
really got to pick a side.
Yeah.
I mean, the energy is always high.
Right. But you've got, I don't know what the right like musical reference would be, octaves or whatever, but like you've got the high-pitched guys and then you've got gravel.
I like what Maggie, you said. Hockey be the hardest sport to call of any sport.
No, but now I think maybe the Beach Boys could do it. They have the high pitch. Like,
Yeah, but-
maybe that'd be fun.
The speed and energy, which all right, it was high pitched, but he still clearly is super invested. I would have, I go to games, I have no idea which team even has the puck.
It's the traffic in front of you. You need that light that the Fox
Yeah, I need
used to use,
the blue
the
puck.
glowing puck. That was a disaster. Just with all the traffic around the net, I'm surprised guys don't screw this up more.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't
yeah.
look like they're waiting for a spotter to tell them. They call it seamlessly, and there's four guys in front of the net. It's hard to tell.
I'm trying to think now, like, of all the NFL, I'm thinking maybe the primetime guys, like, who would be the best hockey radio announcer?
Kevin Harlan.
No, I disagree.
Oh, wow.
Harlan could not, and I'd say this with all due respect, he could not keep up with hockey because he's so descriptive. He's behind NFL action. He would be 30 seconds behind hockey.
I know, but wouldn't he say with no regard for human life? And
Yeah,
that would match.
They'd be on the next face-off. Like he'd be getting just to that.
The goals would be exciting. I mean, obviously, Gus would make the goals really exciting. I don't know.
Gus would make the passes exciting.
Yeah, Gus would make everything exciting. Gus was one of the first guys I thought about. Gus, and I think, honestly, Burkhardt would be great.
You know, sorry, to go back to Gus for a moment. Gus has actually done some boxing, too. A lot of these guys have. But he's done boxing. So anytime you throw down the gloves, now here we go. Now we got Gus calling a title fight.
But would Gus have a team to root for like he does in college football with
Shedeur
Colorado?
Shedeur going to play hockey.
Did you see him? Was it Tristan Newton from UConn at a triple-double, and Gus was calling the game, and he was standing, pumping his fists when it happened? When he got, I don't even know, he rebounded or assist for the triple-double?
Yeah.
That seemed like too much to me. It's a lot of Gus. I'm kind of over Gus.
Oh, no. He'd never be over Gus.
Yeah, Gus is the best. He did the Knicks game last night. It was unfortunate. It's unfortunate they lost, but he was awesome.
Can you tell
there.
the difference? I mean,
it doesn't matter. It's just a great call.
I love it. I love Gus on the NCAA tournament. And listen, my favorite Iron Eagle, the best, is going to be doing the Final Four in the championship game this year. Totally well-deserved. And Ian's the man.
Kind of weird not having Nance there.
Miss Gus on that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's going to be strange. Nance not doing calling one shining moment. Good thing no one's watching the men's tournament this year.
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay.
All right, well, we got something for Bogusch here. Bogusch.
Oh, do you?
It's not just you giving us information. Now we have a little something for you. All right, well, Bogusch passively aggressively announced that we missed his birthday.
Mission accomplished.
3 weeks ago.
10 days.
Sure. So I was able to procure some treats for everybody, but I found them from your birthday, February 25th. These are cinnamon rolls because you were so passive-aggressive on us not knowing, even though how would Perloff and I or EJ ever know your birthday? Meanwhile, Bilotti's sitting over there on his thumbs, texting you happy birthday, not telling the rest of us. Anyway, I was able to find these cinnamon rolls because it's morning time. I brought enough for everybody, but they are from February 25th.
So to continue our hockey theme, they're more puck-like than anything else.
So, just watch your teeth. Okay. You might crack one. Oh.
I think I heard that there's a Reddit thread about what will happen if you eat these cinnamon rolls.
Like yesterday's sugar-free gummy bear Reddit thread?
They're not made by Haribo.
They still smell good at 10 days old.
Yeah, 10 days ago. They had to go back to a dumpster, I think. I'm just kidding. They found them for you.
Wow.
Well, listen.
Scrounged them up for you.
If the reward is cinnamon buns, get ready for more passive aggressiveness.
I was going to try to find balloons to totally embarrass you, but I ran out of time.
Next week, Bogusch is like, it was my kid's birthday. Nobody said anything.
My anniversary was 6 months ago.
You want me to email you all the important dates?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We'll take a calendar.
You got it.
So there you go. Now we can tie up that loose end.
I think we got to heat those bad boys up like Cinnabon at the airport. Oh,
man.
They smell so
good luck. Put it in the microwave for 5 minutes over here because microwaves barely work in this building.
You're kidding.
What's with the stacked microwaves? We've got one on top of the other as if we just replaced the old one with a new one.
I think they think that because we put one on top of the other that somehow it will actually heat better and work better, but it doesn't. Trust me.
We still need to do my idea. You know how the NFLPA did a scorecard for every franchise? I think we need to do a scorecard of the facilities here. And Maggie said that's a terrible idea.
Horrible. The worst idea I've ever heard.
But we need to talk about the soap in the bathroom situation. We need to talk about certain things about the pantry that are just not up to snuff.
But I was like, let's grade our company. Like, let's not.
We all give our bosses A's. That's a given.
Of course. And P gets an A too.
Yeah.
The other big office issue right now is that the cleaning crew seems to be cleaning with musky rags, which then leaves
seeming.
That's probably why Pete Belotti's not here.
Yeah, that leaves an unclean smell after they've been cleaning. So did they clean? It's a big question.
You make this seem like this is a great mystery.
Well, I'm trying to be nice because the guy that's doing it, everyone loves him.
Guy. I do love that guy.
Yeah, but it's not ideal.
Yusef, he's the man. But it's almost like it's a very distinctive smell, like when you hit a skunk or something and then you smell it for like another mile.
Yeah.
It's like a rag that smells really mildewy and you smell it all the way down the hall.
Yeah. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I didn't realize what that smell was until Pete was like, "Oh, he's back." I'm like, well, "What are you talking about?" Because of course, just like Pete, he doesn't tell you what he's talking about. You got, like Bogusch says, you got to jump with
clues.
him, 50 feet away from where you are in your conversation.
Yeah.
So he just yells, "Oh, he's back," and I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Pete is the kind of coworker who's like sitting at his computer, like, and everyone's minding their own business, and then he just goes, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" And it's like, what? Like, it's begging. Like, what are you doing?
Then
That
he
was
has to
one
go
of his
through,
books,
it's like a 5-minute explanation of like what was going on.
Yeah. Remember Pete Pilates, you got to be kidding me? That was
I know. It was
the follow up with what's the deal?
Spent 20 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list.
Yeah. But don't worry, roughly around 2030. So it takes about 5 or 6 years. You'll understand quicker what Pete's talking about when he brings you in mid-conversation.
Oh.
It's a skill you can acquire.
Yeah, even in these like 4 or 5 months, I'm starting to pick it up.
Yeah.
It's taking a little while, but I'm starting to pick it up. But yeah, that rag thing was something that I was like, what is he talking about?
It's like a Rosetta Stone. Like you're learning a new language. You speak fluent Pilates. I can only
How
hope.
many years do you think it would take in high school to learn fluent Pilates? Is that a 4-year course?
It's an AP course. Yeah. I get college credit for that.
AP course.
Bogusch, thank you again.
Thank
Happy
you,
birthday.
Maggie.
Many weeks late. And we found these cinnamon buns from February 25th. So hopefully that was a good day at this bakery.
I don't think they're like wine. I don't think they age.
Baked goods?
This is a good vintage.
They told me don't put them in the fridge. So those are just straight up from the counter. That was the one piece of advice they gave me. All right.
Go to break so we can eat them.
All right. Coming up, if you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Coming up, the one question that we will effort to answer about a certain superstar's longevity. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Okay, so a couple days ago, LeBron James passes 40,000 points, Perloff.
That's a lot of points.
You think? I mean, so many records now going by the wayside for LeBron, who is still playing at a very high level. This doesn't actually feel like compiling, right? This doesn't feel like he's hanging around.
Yeah, no, he's still effective.
He's still really effective. And so, got thinking about what's actually the most impressive part about LeBron's career and the legacy that he's going to leave. Is it what LeBron was at his absolute peak powers, which he's not that far off of right now, or has it been the longevity of his career?
Oh my gosh. I'm a full peak guy. Longevity is like saying she has a great personality. I mean, longevity is almost an insult. If you are knowing a player for his longevity, that means he wasn't that awesome.
Okay, but we just said LeBron still is awesome at this high level. So that's why I think he's going to be remembered more for the, maybe not more, but just as much for the longevity that he will be for the peak. LeBron's peak was amazing. The tomahawk dunks, the defense, the chase down on Andre Iguodala with the block shot will probably be the statue he'll have outside of Cleveland at some point. But he does so many things well. I think the fact that he does so many things well and has been doing it now for 20 plus years, you never see the drop off. We're not getting the end of LeBron, him coming off the bench, kind of some sad situation. I think that's what puts him, again, that's what only separates him from Jordan, right? I think that's when people who say, I think LeBron's a better player, it's not because the peak was better than Jordan. That'd be really hard to argue. It's the longevity of it.
I feel you're playing right into the Jordan people's hands by saying that, because you're saying the peak of Jordan was better. By highlighting LeBron's longevity, you're automatically giving it to Jordan. Jordan won 6 titles in sort of 6 years. He had that half a year where he was off playing baseball. I think that's why Jordan was better. I view all sports like this, football too. I was fine with Terrell Davis, a Broncos running back, getting into the Hall of Fame, even though he only did it for 5 years. Who cares if you stick around forever and do it? That is not what makes a player great. Number 3 on the all-time scoring list is Karl Malone.
Right.
Because he played forever. Nobody thinks that that's a huge, nobody has him in the top 5 players of all time list.
You're right, but I think what we're watching, I think we're discerning enough to understand that LeBron is doing it in a different type of way. I mean, Karl Malone was ring chasing at the end, joining the Los Angeles Lakers, a team that went to the finals, by the way. Yeah. We forget about that because that Pistons team is remembered way more than that Lakers team. But still, I think that LeBron is showing doesn't feel like the end of Kareem's, career. It doesn't feel like the end of Karl Malone's. I think it does feel like he's still, not that Kareem wasn't playing at a super high level, but it does feel very different. And the fact that he never took a break, never went away, was going to consecutive finals for 8 years, the wear and tear, and his body held up. I think he deserves credit for that because that's not all genes. That's not all like luck. That's him really being dedicated. Where, listen, Jordan was maniacal. Jordan was also at an Atlantic City casino before playoff games. I mean, the dude was nuts. There's no way his body would have held up.
Once again, it's this argument for or against Jordan because that sounds pretty awesome to me. That dude could gamble to 3 o'clock at night, then drop 45 on the Jazz. That to me makes you the greatest of all time. Again, everything you're describing almost denigrates who LeBron is as a player because it makes him sound like it was hard work that got him here and not the fact that he was one of the second greatest player of all time.
Well, he's got both. Like he's got a super high peak and he's got a peak that's lasted 20 years.
Yeah, I understand, but I think it almost makes it sound like, oh, that's why he's better than Jordan because he lasted so long. If you're not arguing about the peak, then I don't want to hear it. If you think peak Jordan was better than peak LeBron, really to me that ends the debate.
Yeah, but okay, peak Jordan versus peak LeBron, it's not such a landslide. So that's the other part of it. So LeBron has the longevity aspect where he's been at high level a long time. And the peaks, listen, I'll give you Jordan had the better peak, but it's not like he blew LeBron out of the water. LeBron was going to more consecutive finals.
Come
he
on.
was. With a worse team in some places.
This is the Bills fan in you. Yeah, he got out of the crappy East. It was either him or the Magic. I mean, somebody had to win that conference every year. That doesn't mean that much to me.
Yeah, you always say that. I just...
Look at the teams that got out of the East around LeBron. I mean, yes, the Celtics were really good that one year, but honestly, if he was in the West, he's not going to all those finals.
Okay, but I mean, everyone is a little bit of a circumstance of what's going on around you. I think that if you want to do like flukes and one-offs and say, oh, a guy would have made it, like the path really opened up for him because of X, Y, and Z. But we're talking about sustained success here. Yeah. Like at that point, I think you have to stop saying, oh, it's who he was playing against. It's like, it's a huge accomplishment. People were going out there to try to win.
Like, I feel like I'm setting up a buddy. I'm saying, you know what? It's not going to be, she's not wildly attractive. It's not going to be passionate, but it's going to be a long, sustained relationship. And I could just see my buddy's face be like, oh, get me out of this.
Do you not think that beating the Cavaliers was a major
Steph's
accomplishment?
knee was hurt and Draymond basically racked a guy and got kicked out of the series.
They were down 3-1. I mean, if you're the Warriors and you have that kind of a lead, you should be able to finish the deal.
Of course, it was a big achievement. I do think the Warriors blew that more than the Cavs won that. And I do think that was definitely, I think both those factors had a lot to do with what happened in that series.
I would also say if there was if this was the Kevin Durant, Steph Curry Warriors, the Bulls aren't beating that team. They're not.
I totally disagree.
That's the
totally
Warriors
disagree.
With Kevin Durant will probably go down as the greatest team of all time.
I mean, obviously the styles are different because of the three-point line.
Yep.
I totally think the Bulls would have beaten them.
The 96 Bulls were
Scotty
a different animal.
Shut down somebody. I mean, you would have to adjust for the three-point line, but also Jordan was so relentless. You just could not cover him for 48 minutes. He would find a way to just destroy you.
Okay, I'm talking about one of the greatest teams ever, someone who could rival the 96 or 98 Bulls. You guys don't think that the Kevin Durant Warriors were that good? They went back-to-back finals. They lost one game in the finals.
They were awesome, but in some ways, I think that Bulls team actually matches up really well with the Warriors because they had a guard who can guard Steph Curry and Ron Harper, and they had two awesome wing defenders in Jordan and Pippen.
Yeah, I love this.
They have nothing to worry about when it comes to the interior with Draymond or whoever's playing the five. Like Rodman's grabbing every rebound. Like it's a drag out series, a great series, but like I can't say for sure that the Warriors beat the Bulls. Absolutely not.
I think that 7-game series, that's a coin flip.
And I don't see Jordan losing that series.
Okay, but see, thank you, Colton. I think that's the thing, though, right? It's like Jordan would do it. Jordan would do it. You don't even think Scottie Pippen was a great player.
Of course, I think Scottie Pippen was a great player.
You talk about Scottie like he was not the wingman, like one of the greatest 50 players of all time. I know you disagree with. We talked about this
Scotty's
before.
but Scotty's a great defensive player. He
And
would
so
be
was
perfect.
Clay in his
Not like
peak.
He ain't guarding Jordan, though. Come on.
Well, nobody was guarding Jordan, but I'm
That's
saying,
what yeah.
okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean who's guarding who. Do you don't think that Steph Curry is getting his shot off?
No, he's getting his shot off.
Who's guarding KD?
Scottie Pippen. If I had to
Scottie or
pick one
Dennis
player to
or-
guard Kevin Durant in the history of the NBA, I might pick Scottie Pippen.
Okay, then who's guarding Steph?
Mike could guard him.
Okay,
Or Ron.
Yeah, Harper or Mike.
Wait,
Either
by the
one.
way, bring in
Ron
a
Harper's
little
a great defender.
Give me a little Kukoc off the bench tonight. Was he there in '96?
Yeah,
I think he was.
Kukoc was there.
I think you guys you're glossing this.
I think that's a rough matchup. I think that people always run to that, but it's always that the matchup is not easy for the Warriors. That's a tough team for them to beat.
Anyway, this started as a LeBron conversation.
Yeah, we just fell into
Always comes into Michael.
fell into the easiest trap ever.
I've tried to get away from it. Is LeBron's longevity or his peak the more impressive part of his career? Okay, coming up, it's Wednesday. Great debate series next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Wednesdays around here, we do something called the Great Debate Series, something loosely based on the news. Let's get to it.
The Great Debate Series.
Okay, Perloff, again, loosely based on the news.
Yep.
LeBron James, 40,000 career points in the NBA.
Right.
Feels like a record that's going to stand for a while.
Yeah, considering the next closest active player is Kevin Durant at 28. And Kevin Durant does not have 12,000 more points.
I don't think so. The most unbreakable sports records of all time. You, sir, have the floor.
Okay. This one is a personal favorite of mine, and I have a prop to go with it. I'm holding up a white piece of paper with the number 100 on it, just like former Philadelphia Warrior and former Philadelphia 76er Wilt Chamberlain, Overbrook High School, 15 minutes from where I grew up. 100 points in a game will never be broken. The closest we've come is another Lower Merion product, Kobe Bryant at 81. And I recently watched film of that game. He was hitting shots that have never been shot. He was double-teamed behind the three-point line, pump faking and hitting a three. It was the craziest game of all time, and he got hot at the end. And that was 81. That's still 19 points away. Since then, we had a Luka 73 game the other day, January 26th of this year. 73. That's still 27 points away. I know people hit a lot of three-pointers, but no one's going to get even close, not even to 90. So 100 is perfectly safe.
Let's hear a little when Wilt did this incredible feat. Here's Wilt on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, sports history is made here this week, Hershey, Pennsylvania, in a game in which Wilt Chamberlain threw in 36 field goals, 28 fouls for a total of 100 points. This is just absolutely incredible. I'd like you to meet and congratulate Wilt Chamberlain. So let's bring him on.
By the way, there's another piece of paper here. This is a white piece of paper with the numbers 1 and 4.
Yeah.
You know what that signifies?
Tell us.
The 14 points Andrew Perloff dropped on Mount Union Academy back in 1995 JV.
There's also no footage of that either.
Wilt
Some
and
grainy,
Perloff, weird.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
footage.
14, baby.
Also, when the Dartmouth players unionize, they'll go all the way back to you scoring that 14 as some kind of inspiration.
Let me ask you this, though. The fact that you never actually get to see highlights of Wilt doing this in some way makes it even more magical. It's a record that everyone knows and is not going anywhere. That was 1962, and no one's come within 19 points since then.
Wow. Okay, we'll get to that because I disagree with Perloff on that one, but it's a great record. We're talking about our great debate today is the most unbreakable records in sports after LeBron James surpassed 40,000 career points the other day. Mine is easy. It's got to be Cal Ripken. Let's hear it.
September 6th, 1995. This game with the Angels trailing is now in the books. And let it be said that number 8, Cal Ripken Jr., has reached the unreachable star.
Wow, chills. 2,632 consecutive games over 16 years, past Lou Gehrig's 2,130. No one's going to get close to this. And it's not anyone's fault. It's just there's not a manager alive today that would allow one of his players to get anywhere close. You'd be fired on the spot. The front office would come down and drag you out and throw you out DJ Jazzy Jeff style. Like like Uncle Phil. It's not going to happen. We know too much now. Load management and guys trying to protect their bodies. Cal Ripken can go to bed easy every night knowing that record is safe forever.
Yeah, it's not my favorite record. So he played in a bunch of games in a row. I always thought that was a little overrated. Oh, yeah, I said it.
A little selfish?
Wow. I don't know. What was the NBA record? AC Green? Why are we so into that Cal Ripken record? I always was a little bit.
Guy.
It's an
like
amazing record.
Said yesterday, like me, blue collar, show up every day.
Yeah, I know.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, I mean, Cal Ripken was a little more than that. He was an MVP, but every day, I don't know.
Well, I think.
Is that really that impressive? Is that as impressive as, I don't know, hitting 754 home runs? Would you rather have that record than every day?
Well, some people say, oh, he was hurt at certain times and he should have been playing. It'd be better for the team if he didn't. I mean, the guy was a 2-time MVP and a Hall of Famer. It's not like it was some scrub over there, who wouldn't get off a third base, like blocking someone else. I'll take Cal Ripken Jr. on a bad day over whoever his replacement was.
Well, that was a battle to get him to move off shortstop, by the way.
That's true.
Yeah, okay. It is beyond Unbreakable.
No, we're never seeing that one again.
Yeah, I almost feel like you're cheating with that one.
EJ, what do you have?
Okay, so Perloff was in the ballpark but had the wrong record. So I'm going with Wilter Stilt Chamberlain, a guy who some people call the Unbreakable record as a nickname. But I'm going to that season, but it's not the game because somebody can get hot in a game and score 100 points. I'm more impressed with the season, a season in which he averaged 50 points a game. Think about that. For a whole season, 82-game season, he played 80 of the games that season. Maybe it was 80, I don't know. But he played 80 games that season. He averaged 50 points. I mean, that basically means he had a bad game. He had 42. Like that is just remarkable. Somehow he didn't win MVP. I'm trying to figure out how that didn't happen in that season.
Oh, wow.
But
Steve Nash win it that year?
That was Steve Nash's first MVP. And now people realize they didn't realize that he actually won 3, not 2. No, Wilt Chamberlain went averaging 50 points a game. Like, that is just remarkable. We're going to have guys put up big numbers on one night, but nobody's averaging 50 points for a season. And I do think when we think about Unbreakable records, I kind of agree with Perloff a little bit that it does have to be very impressive. I think to me, I'm looking for the wow factor. Like, okay, you played a lot of games. I think that's a great record. It is unbreakable. But I want something that anybody could try. Like, anybody could try to average 50 points a game. And we know now that nobody's ever going to be allowed to play 1,000, however many games Cal Ripken played. People are going to try to go out there and score as many points as they can. Nobody's averaging 50 ever going forward. So that's why Wilt Chamberlain is my unbreakable record, not for the 100 points, but in that season, averaging 50 points a game.
Can you imagine if there was a player who averaged 50 today, we'd have a death. His teammates would kill him. There's no way that an NBA team, because guys like Luka and James Harden and these guys who have had these huge totals, these teams, you always feel like they're on the brink of mutiny.
But I'm looking at the all-time single-season leaders. The top 4 are Wilt. Then 5 is Jordan. 6 is Wilt. 7 is shocking me right now. Who is after Wilt and Jordan, who scored the most in a single season?
Bob Pettit.
No, it's not. Just to give you a hint, it's not old school. It's new school.
Oh.
Is it Westbrook, his MVP year?
You're in the right. You're so close. It's an MVP who probably didn't deserve.
Harden?
It's James Harden.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
36. I mean, that's crazy. Usually this list is Wilt, Jordan, Wilt, Jordan, Wilt, Jordan. Then James Harden shows up.
Mike D'Antoni gave him the ultimate green light, so he was just doing whatever.
We're doing great debate as we do Wednesdays, every Wednesday at this time. Today it is based off of LeBron surpassing 40,000 career points, the most unbreakable sports records. Andrew Bogusch, you're up, sir.
Shockingly, guys, I have a hockey nominee.
Off the draw. Here's Lowe with a minute to go in the game. Lowe cleared to the blue line, held in by Duchesne. Duchesne's pass in deep to Taylor. To Gretzky. He scores! He's done it! Wayne Gretzky, the great one, has become the greatest of them all. The leading scorer in the history of the National Hockey League.
Hockey is my Bruce Bochy. I can use it as much as possible. And I'd like to claim victory here because you're all sweet and wrong. Wayne Gretzky, 2,857 career points. No one will come close to this. This is about the distance between 1 and 2. And that distance is roughly 960 points between Gretzky and Jaromir Jagr. And Jagr played 3 full more seasons than Gretzky, and he's still a Hall of Fame career shy of getting to Wayne's number. In fact, if you take out Gretzky's 894 career goals, the most of all time, his 1,963 assists by themselves would be the most points in NHL history. No one will ever do anything like that. Hockey's already had guys. I just mentioned Jagr played more than Gretzky. Gordie Howe played in like 7 decades. Guys play a lot of hockey, and they still never get close to Wayne. He will never be touched with that number. Ever.
You know what's amazing about Wayne? We're talking about greatest records that will never be broken. The best thing about Gretzky, and maybe it's a little like Jordan too, it doesn't matter that the eras are going to move on. And it doesn't matter. Like, oh, it's a different game now. Nobody cares. It's like, Gretzky is known as the greatest. This isn't going back, oh, Bill Russell, there was only 8 teams in the league, and da-da-da. Nobody's ever going to caveat Gretzky. He played in the 90s, so it wasn't that long ago. But even as we go forward, no one's going to caveat Wayne Gretzky. Like, oh, it was a different time. It doesn't matter.
He's a great one.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
What about
that's impressive.
What about my 2 Connors? Any chance? Connor Bedard's got 46 points in his career. I just looked that up. He's got a lot of work to do. But Connor McDavid's already up to 949. He's 27. Anything? Any chance?
How many games has he played?
Gosh, 627.
949 by 627.
Are we doing math here?
Well, because that's a 1.5 a game. Gretzky was at 1.9 points per game.
Not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is unbreakable.
Game is
Yeah,
wild.
I mean, and hockey has changed a lot. They changed multiple rules because of Gretzky's Oilers teams in the 80s.
Kind of like Will Chamberlain in basketball. They had to change some rules.
Well, I thought they just got better players. They just filled out rosters.
Oh, they changed 10 rules because Will was cheating.
I just got a text message from Pete Bellotti. He said his unbreakable record is Bruce Bochy. Consecutive days being awesome. It's a little subjective, but it's in the record books. So
Elias yet to confirm that. But
Most consecutive days with a mustache and an adult male.
It's a Guinness record, actually. So there you go. The greatest, the unbreakable records in sports, the ones that just are here forever. And you love the Wilt Chamberlain one. You have another special thing about Wilt's 100 points that you love so much.
Oh, you mean the 10,000 record that he did?
Oh, no.
Actually,
I wasn't even thinking. No, it's because your love of Adam Sandler.
So our guy, Adam Sandler, I heard him tell the story. He had one joke. He made a whole stand about the night that Wilt scored 100. He does this whole routine. Do we have that? It's amazing.
Let's hear. This is
a young Adam Sandler.
This is young Adam Sandler.
This was tryout. His tryout to SNL was this joke.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This is Wilt Chamberlain talking to Conan O'Brien, February 97. Then we'll tell the joke after this. But here's Wilt uncoded.
100 points in one game. Was there a point where just the other team left and made sandwiches on the bench? I mean,
well, I really wish it was. Actually, they were really very embarrassed about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were mad at me, and I was just out there trying to have fun.
At 85 points, did you start to feel bad a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And the people
I'll just try and miss this one. 100 points.
And I did that. I know. I did that. Then my mother scolded me when I got home. You should be ashamed of yourself.
There you go. So that was Wilt talking about on Conan O'Brien and the famous joke from Sandler.
I'll do Sandman's joke. Hey, he does an impression. This is terrible. I'm sorry. He does an impression of Wilt's teammates. He's like, "Hey, Wilt, I'm open. My family's here. Can you pass me the ball?" He goes, "Bob only has 2 points because you bounced it off his head to get it into the basket."
That's your impression of Sandler. Put you in multiple movies.
Yeah, I apologize, but it's a good joke. What were Wilt's teammates thinking that night? And the other thing is, what did the other team say? Hey, maybe we should double team Wilt? What's going on? The guy's scoring 100 points. How did this happen?
Well, We have no proof.
Did it happen?
Well, I do think it did. I think it did happen. I was a little suspect of like bookkeeping from like the 1880s and stuff with baseball. 1962, I think we probably had a good box score, a reliable box score. But what's funny to me about this, we're talking about every Wednesdays at this time we do the Great Debate Series. Today we're doing the most unbreakable records in sports off of LeBron scoring 40,000, surpassing 40,000. I actually think the 100 points is going down. I do. And no disrespect to Wilt, Kobe's 81. Guys are getting close. You say still 19 away, 27 away. Like, there's going to be a day and there's going to be a game where someone's going to do it. It's going to be Luka or
But you can
someone like
if
that.
it gets to the point, you're going to need overtime to do it probably. And if it gets to that point, I think you can shut down, if Luka's embarrassing you to that point, you can just come way out and face guard him 45 feet from the basket. I think you can stop these outside guys if push comes to shove. I don't think a team wants to be embarrassed.
So here's what's going to happen, I think. I think it's going to be a team that either has just fired the coach or the coach is about to get fired, because you need two to tango here, right? For somebody to get this kind of record, it's got to be a team that's actually trying to embarrass their coach, right? Or trying to get the coach fired or something has to serendipitous.
Yeah, serendipitous. There you go.
Serendipitously meets together with someone who's on an all-time heater of a night. And so you have the Olay defense because they're trying to get the coach fired, or something else is going on behind the scenes.
I think you guys are forgetting one thing that could absolutely make this record breakable. I think the 4-point line could come to the NBA. It's
Leave
been
me
talked
alone.
about.
This ain't MTV, whatever, Slam Jam.
I know. I'm not. It's not something I want,
Yeah.
or it's not something I care for. I'm just saying it's been talked about in league offices, and I know there's right now there's kind of a backlash towards all this offense, but actually a way to maybe stymie some of the offense. They think actually could be making a 4-point line, making people shoot from much farther. If you get a guy who can shoot from anywhere, that could change everything.
Wemby, maybe?
I don't know if Wemby shooting from the 4-point line, but
Where is the 4-point line? Somewhere between the 3-point line and half court?
yeah, probably think of where Steph shot from when he beat the Thunder in that game where he hit that shot from 35 feet out. Like, that's probably your 4-point line. And if you have, we watch. I know it was an All-Star game. We watched Dame Lillard shoot half-court shots like they were layups.
Definitely. I just think then it's going to come with a caveat. It should already come with a caveat. There was not a 3-point line when Wilt was doing this, and he wouldn't have utilized that anyway. But there already should be a caveat, a 3-point line. There will definitely be an asterisk if there's a 4-point.
The difference was Wilt was so far advanced over the schlubs that he was playing against. We actually have the Sandler bit. Why don't we do it justice and let Adam tell the joke?
There we go.
Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in one basketball game. That's a lot of points, huh? It's the NBA record, 100 points. Whew. Here's my impression of the 4 other guys on the team with Wilt during a timeout. I'm open. What are you doing? Pass the ball, man. My family's here.
That got him hired on SNL.
He also,
Good joke.
It goes on. It's about 2 minutes. I've heard Spade. That probably didn't do it justice. Spade says it's like one of the best stand-up routines. He said it killed all the time. They came up together in the LA scenes. Yeah, I mean, Sandman. Everyone loves the Sandman. One thing we didn't mention Jerry Rice, by the way. His record, his receiving yards, crazy out of touch.
Receiving yards or touchdowns?
Receiving yards, 22,895. The leading active guy behind him is sort of Julio Jones, who's semi-active, 13,000, and DeAndre Hopkins, 12,000. So he's double any active guy, and there's no young guy who's anywhere close to this. I'm not quite sure why, but that's way out of touch.
Where's Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek Hill's at 10,000, and he's in his 30s already, right?
Yeah, just in his 30s, I believe. 31.
So he's not even halfway to Jerry Rice.
I think it's similar to what we were talking about with Wilt Chamberlain. I think he got the wrong thing when it comes to Jerry Rice records. I think it's the touchdown record that's going to be harder to break.
Oh, okay.
Because, I'm looking at the list now. 208 touchdowns, which is 30 more than Emmitt Smith. What receiver or running back is going to be spammed so much where they can score that many touchdowns for that long amount of time, especially with the way careers are short? Like, that's never happening.
Yeah. Oh, man, you need because the running backs aren't going to be able to do it.
Like, there's not an active player on this top 20 list, which is crazy.
Well, same with the receiving yards. I think Julio's 17 or something. I see what you're saying.
All right, most unbreakable sports records. You're welcome to give us your nomination. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up is there a difference maker on the free agent market? We'll get to that next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. It is Great Debate Wednesday. Today it's a fun one. Nominally off LeBron James surpassing 40,000 points. Could be an unbreakable record. We are all nominating our unbreakable records. I went with Wilt 100 points in a game. Maggie?
I went with Cal Ripken's consecutive games played streak over 2,600.
Yeah. Bogusch went Wayne Gretzky points, and EJ?
I went Will Chamberlain, but I'm going with the 50 points per game in a season.
All right, give us a call with yours, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's hit the phones.
Okay, Rich is in California. Rich, the unbreakable sports record is what?
Joe DiMaggio's consecutive game hitting streak.
Man, 56 games. You don't think anybody would be able to do that? And nobody has, obviously, but that
Well,
one you think will never happen, huh?
The caveat is you have to remember Joe DiMaggio played in an era that did not have a designated hitter, and he was in center field in Yankee Stadium during those 56 games. So I think, quite frankly, I don't see that happening.
Right, because you don't think that someone's going to play. What about him playing it without the
I
DH?
think too, there's more walks. It's
okay, but
feels unrealistic.
What about the DH?
I think the DH cheapens that record because you really can't say.
Oh, because
Yeah,
you don't have to play
can't say
defense. I see what you're. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Play in the field
Yeah,
at
sure.
the same time it was done.
Right. No, I get it, Rich. Thank you for that. I'm sorry, I didn't pick up what he was putting down at first. But yes, the fact that you had to play offense and then go out there and stand in center field at Yankee Stadium also for 56 straight games.
Yeah, so what is second on that list? Pete Rose, right? Or is that the NL record?
I just think that the position players who would be most likely to do this, is it the center fielders of these days, the outfielders, or is it going to be like a Trey Turner or someone like that, who's an infielder anyway, who's going to be playing 56 games?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think hits are also less valued. I think that the really good hitters take a lot of walks, right?
And they strike out a lot, too.
Yeah, they strike out a lot.
That's the biggest change in the game. Like, it's no longer, any kind of shame to be a high strikeout person.
Sorry, Jimmy Rollins was 8th on this list, and that was 2005. He had 38 games.
Oh, right, I remember that.
Yeah, but nobody. Oh, well, Pete Rose was 1978, but that was 44. But the most recent guy to come in the top 10 was Jimmy Rollins.
Right, so an infielder. Bill's in California has got one for us. Hey, Bill, what's up?
Hey, guys. I just want to let you know today I am now the greatest of all time. Ricky Henderson, stolen base record.
You're the greatest of all time because of Ricky's record?
Well, I'm just saying this. I just saying this speech when he broke the record.
Yeah.
But I don't think in today's baseball with the analytics and stuff, nobody's going to reach that stolen base record. It's done.
You know, Bill, it's a great one. We actually have the audio from that. Let's hear it.
The A's having come from behind a 1-0 deficit. Ricky goes, a pitch taken, he's going to have it. He does. Ricky Henderson, no contest, steals third base, jerks the bag from its moorings, and holds it aloft, representing number 939. Ricky pounds it with his left fist, hands it to equipment manager Frank Sinchek, who gives him a big hug.
And so that was breaking Lou Brock's record, but then Ricky went on and on and on and on and ended his career with over 1,400 stolen bases. Now, you saw that the Major League Baseball is trying to bring back stolen bases, Perloff, because they limited the amount of pickoffs that a pitcher can throw to first base, and they literally made the bases bigger.
Yeah, I know. So it feels like that rule change kind of weakens us a little bit.
I still don't think anyone's going to touch it.
Yeah, it's a different strategy. You don't want to give up your base runners because you want to hit home runs. Yeah, yes, this one is a tricky one. I'm a big Ricky fan.
How do you not?
Yeah, I'm not the world's biggest stolen base fan. Like, I never got super excited by stolen bases. I think I'm a majority. I'm a home run guy. I would have been, you guys would have hated me. I'd be a pure sabermetric guy. I'd be like, take a walk and let's hit a home run.
Yeah.
That's how you get runs.
Dave Roberts, in the World Series.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, ALCS for the Red Sox. It's like, no, stay put.
Baseball has lost a lot not having a player like Ricky Williams or more players
Ricky
like
Henderson,
him.
yeah.
Ricky Henderson, sorry.
Yeah.
Like we talked about Ricky Williams yesterday. No, I mean
Character
and also excitement. Like him running the bases was one of the more exciting things in sports.
When I was a kid, though, there was a team, the St. Louis Cardinals. They had this gigantic ballpark, and all they did was get singles and steal bases, and they were so boring. Remember Tommy Herr and Ozzie Smith? And small ball, everyone says they want more small ball in baseball. I'm not sure you do.
Well, you got the DH in both leagues now, so
Yeah,
you get it.
The game now, to me, is as boring as ever, which is why they had to change everything.
And the park and the fences are so much further in than they used to be. Remember when the Mets built that stadium, and they're like built way too big?
Well, yeah, all of a sudden David Wright couldn't hit home runs anywhere. They're like, let's bring in the outfield. We screwed this up. Let's go to Jeremy in Arkansas. He's got a great one. Hey, Jeremy, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Great show, by the way. I love it. So a couple of things since I've been on the phone listening. I'm thinking about originally when I first called in, it was about the record of John Wooden. I think he won 10 in a row or something like that. I'm
10 national titles for John Wooden, 7 in a row.
Right.
Yeah, that one's not getting broken.
I think both of those records as a college basketball head coach will not be broken, particularly the 7 consecutive. Yeah. That's remarkable. And then you think about those 60s teams, and you mentioned Wilt and all that he did, and the Celtics that just continually just won and won and won and won and won. They dominated the entire league. That's another record. Whatever. Their consecutive record in particular, not the total. I could see franchises, over the course of decades, amassing more. But then even thinking about, recently, like Caitlin Clark, in this one and done era, she's going to tack on another couple hundred this season between the Big Ten Conference tournament and the big dance. And I don't see.
You don't see anyone breaking hers.
I don't see a college basketball player,
Yeah, we're getting close again. Jeremy, thank you so much. I mean, the Wooden one is, in terms of coaching, I don't think is going to be touched. Because even on the women's side, where Gino Auriemma, obviously, with UConn, has had, 111-game winning streak. There's so much. I still don't think the national titles, the consecutive titles, in this era of NIL, no way.
No way. I mean, I don't know what was going on in the 60s. Why? I guess the tournament was smaller, the NBA playoffs were smaller, but it seemed like you got a lot of Celtics and a lot of Bruins. Never even come close. Considering who's won the most recent tournaments. Baylor, Kansas, UConn. There's no rhyme or reason anymore. That is completely untouchable.
Yeah, the college ones. Quickly, Mike's in Syracuse. He's got another good one for us. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing great. Going into hockey, National Hockey League, Mr. Goalie Glenn Hall started 502 consecutive games. No goalie will ever start that many.
Listen, I think we're burying the lead here. The crazy impressive part about what he did is he wasn't wearing a helmet when he was doing it.
I was going to ask, is that pre-helmet era? That is the dumbest job in all of sports history. Goalie with no mask. How did they do it?
Well, they didn't lift the puck as much back then.
That's true. Mike, thank you. That's
and I think it was actually illegal to go down on the ice to get your face even closer to the puck.
Probably smart to have some guardrails up. Mike, thank you so much. That's a good one. Hadn't thought of that one.
That being said, I'm looking at some Glenn Hall photos. He is not showing his teeth because I assume there are not many of them.
There are none.
Yeah, watching a hockey player smile. Still the only person I've ever interviewed was our pal Nate.
Yeah,
who came
Nate
on
Thompson.
Came on our show and removed his tooth.
Now I'm looking Glenn Hall towards the end, put on a mask, but it's a Jason mask. Yeah. It looks terrifying. It looks like he's going to stop some slap shots and he's going to go out and murder people.
It's like, all right, when this hockey's done, let me just go out here and just trade it in for a knife. Bogusch is here. He's got headlines for us. Yo.
And from T-Mac's top 5 current players to Jeff Teague's best shooting guards of all time, the list we've all been waiting for, we pick up at number 3.
I think James Harden is the number 3 shooting guard of all time. Me, just like watching this game, going against him, competing against him. Like, it was real life scheme. Like, you had to scheme for D-Wade too. Mm-hmm. But James Harden, when he was by himself in Houston, bro, they was going to the Western Conference Finals every year. They was doing all this stuff. And he was unbelievable, averaging 35, 8.
Yes. He's one of the easiest scorers there's been.
Like, he was unguardable.
A quick aside.
I don't think they went to that many.
It's pretty guardable. In any game 7, he's a definition of guardable.
But can we do an NBA podcast without making a list? It's like Mad Libs. It's like guest, fill in the blank. Welcome to the show, fill in the blank. Give me your top 5, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And then we just post it and put it out there.
All right, this is our top 5 NBA podcast.
And Jeff Teague made this list with Harden over D Wade on the OGs show with Udonis Haslem and Mike Miller, 2 guys that played with Wade in Miami and didn't punch Teague for this. Here's more of his logic of Harden over Wade.
I ain't trying to disrespect D-Wade. When before Bron got there, no disrespect to you too, Miami was damn near, y'all was competing with us, the Hawks. Like, we was going back and forth.
Yeah.
We wasn't like that. Then Bron came, different stratosphere.
Man, that's such a backhanded thing to the Hawks. Like, before you got the LeBron, you were actually toe-to-toe with us. Did you forget that Dwayne Wade won a title before LeBron got
I'm
there?
looking at a list on USA Today of shooting guards, and I have 18 guys already I'd take over Harden easily without even thinking twice.
18 guys. Come on, Perloff.
Jordan
He's
1,
scarred.
Kobe 2, Dwayne Wade 3. Dwayne Wade, come on. And they have Iverson at shooting guard, whatever. Okay, then they have Harden at 5, but I don't. George Gervin, you're telling me that Harden's better than George Gervin, the Iceman Gervin?
So you hate James Harden, but you want Iceman, who also played no defense and was just a scorer who didn't win?
Yeah. Clyde Drexler,
Makes sense.
I take 100 times out of 100 over James Harden. Reggie Miller, you're telling me you think James Harden's better than Reggie Miller?
James Harden is 500 times better than Reggie Miller.
My God.
Have to
So
be
you
serious.
don't care at all about what happens after the regular season? It means
How
nothing
many
to you?
titles did Reggie Miller win? Oh, quiet, exactly.
And how many did Harden win?
None. But guess what? He's been to the finals just like Reggie Miller has, and he's taken the team to more conference
Ray
finals.
Allen, better player than Reggie Miller. Vince Carter, better player than James Harden, sorry. Earl Monroe on here. Tracy T-Mac was way better than Harden.
He didn't win anything either.
I'm not saying, by the way, Klay Thompson's a better NBA player than James Harden. Just because you could shoot a bunch and lose a bunch of playoff games does not make you great.
You can't be serious.
You think Klay Thompson? So you'd rather have James Harden than Klay Thompson? You'd have to be insane to make that choice.
You just said who? Earl Monroe. I love Earl Monroe. New York Knicks. Better player than James Harden.
Earl Monroe.
He won
is this a real discussion?
Harden won an MVP. He was twice. He was in top 2 in MVP voting.
I know Perloff doesn't recognize James Harden's MVP. There has to be more on this.
Put me on a podcast to give my top 5.
What else, folks? What else we got?
We've got the Celtics winning by so much last night in Cleveland that Perloff stopped watching the game. They blew a 22-point fourth quarter lead, but almost stole the game back.
Tatum pushes Garland, spins to his right, falls away at the elbow. It bounces out. Tapped up by Porzingis in, but what did they call?
Foul.
Did they call a foul against the Cavs? Nobody could hear the whistle.
Sean Grandy said Maxwell Celtics radio they did call a foul on Darius Garland. Jason Tatum would have shot free throws with 7/10 left, down 1, but Cleveland challenged and won, with the ref saying that Tatum caused the contact by extending his right leg. So Cleveland got the 105-104 win on Kelsey Brothers bobblehead night with Jason and Travis courtside. The Suns also blew a 22-point lead but recovered to win in OT in Denver, 117-107. Kevin Durant scoring 8 of his 35 in extra time. The Sixers losing in Brooklyn, 112-107, with Tyrese Maxey not playing either. He's being evaluated for a concussion after a collision over the weekend. New coach and GM, same Patriots. New England breaking out the rarely used transition tag yesterday for safety Kyle Duggar. Only the 6th time it's been used in the last 15 seasons. Duggar would make $13.8 million for the coming season. He can still talk to other teams. New England can match any offer, but receives no draft pick compensation if it lets Duggar leave.
Somewhere Bill Belichick smiles.
Yeah.
It's like he's still there.
I've taught you well.
Yeah. A couple of upsets in men's top 25 action. Florida thumping number 16 Alabama 105-87. And number 21 San Diego State losing at UNLV 62-58. The Rebs get their 4th top 25 win. They've won 10 of 11 overall. And we finish again on ice. The Panthers now on a 6-game win streak, a 5-3 win in Jersey. Nashville's 8-game run ended with a 4-3 OT loss to Montreal. Guys, back to you.
Andrew Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up is one NFL team just toying with us. We get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Okay. I can't tell if this is just a lot of pre-draft kind of misdirection and lying season and all that, Perloff, but it really does look like the Steelers have focused in on just keeping Kenny Pickett, that he will be the starter. There was a report over the weekend that Arthur Smith went down to Florida to visit with him. Or recently, maybe it wasn't over the weekend, but recently went down there. They are throwing all their weight behind Kenny Pickett. And the fact that Justin Fields is not even on their radar to me, or is not much on their radar, seems like a big mistake.
Well, this is a franchise that hates change. They never change their head coaches. They really don't even change their style since 1977. I think they're pining for the glory days where they were a great defensive run team, and they stuck with Matt Canada for way too long, the offensive coordinator, who kind of ruined the offense last year. I think ownership had to step in and tell Mike Tomlin to fire him. So this is very consistent with how they operate. This is just what the Steelers do.
Listen, I get it. You took a guy in the first round. You don't want to just give up on him after 2 years. I'm not advocating for that, but why is Justin Fields, and the more we hear about this, is that the draft compensation seems to be getting lower and lower. Now, again, lying season, we get all that, but, you know, the idea that he's slam dunk going to get a second-round pick, well, that seems obvious to me because I watched Sam Darnold get a second-round pick when he was traded from the Jets to the Carolina Panthers, but, again, that looks bad in retrospect. Maybe teams are trying to learn from that, and if it's more like a third- or fourth-round pick, then I'm definitely doing that if I'm the Steelers. And by the way, I don't have to pick up the fifth-year option. The Panthers did that for Darnold. Again, a mistake, because then you're tied into him for $25 million on the fifth-year option. I don't think you have to do that. If it's like a fourth-round pick or a late third, bring in Justin Fields, compete with Kenny Pickett, may the best man win. And you know what? If Justin Fields plays so well that he garners a contract extension, then congratulations. Yeah. You have a great quarterback, and the future at that position is now set for you.
But what was the problem with the Steelers last year? I'd say the biggest problem, they would not throw the ball to George Pickens, and they were not distributing the ball to their wide receivers. They were just so close. What is Justin Fields' biggest flaw? He will not let it rip. He holds on to the ball forever. 5 sacks in his last game against the Packers. I do worry that that's not ideal, that they need somebody who's actually going to run a really modern, good offense here. And I don't know about Arthur Smith, if he's going to be able to do this. I am not excited about either quarterback really next year. I got to tell you, Justin Fields, that was not my favorite spot. Atlanta has all along been my favorite spot for him, but that has fallen apart. Has it been the worst 2 weeks for anybody in the NFL has been Justin Fields. His star has fallen so much. I saw somebody on Twitter that I follow, Michael Salfino, is a really good writer for The Athletic, said that the NFL has spoken. We do not like Justin Fields. Now, that's not necessarily true because we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But it does feel like if he does not get a second rounder, then I think Michael's right. I think the NFL is more down on Justin Fields than I ever thought. And if that's the case, then maybe he's not the guy for the Steelers. I mean, I think the market says a lot.
No, I think you're maybe getting in a position where you can buy low. And like the thing about Fields, and we're talking about how, you know, maybe the connection between him and the Steelers has cooled off a little bit. It looks like the Steelers are really kind of messaging that they definitely want Kenny Pickett to be the starter next year, and you get why. But, you know, we've talked about this before. Justin Fields is so young that he could be in this draft.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Well, he's a bit older than Nixon Penix, just like half a year.
Okay, but like not that much.
No.
So that's the cool thing to me about Fields and why this, you know, why he's separate to me than anyone else, which is to think he couldn't develop, like to think he can't add anything to his game, to think that he's the fully formed player. Mm-hmm. Remember, he didn't start his whole first year. Your boy Andy Dalton was starting for some of his rookie year.
Yeah, I feel like Fields took over at a certain point. Yeah, that's absolutely true. The problem is, and it's the new NFL where that salary cap designation, the prices for quarterbacks have gone up so much that you have to take advantage of that rookie time. So I don't know about Justin Fields because of the contract. If he had 3 more years left on his deal at a reasonable price, it's a totally different thing. But he's got to get paid soon. So I understand the age, but the salary cap situation sort of negates that. And, if he was in this draft, that's an interesting question. Where do you think he'd go? He'd be really cheap. So I think he'd be a top 15 pick. There's definitely logic to that. I like him as a player too. I don't think the Steelers is a great fit. Let me throw one more at you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Albert Breer, our buddy from Sports Illustrated, said that watch out for Matt Nagy, who I believe drafted Justin Fields. He's now the OC in Kansas City. What about doing a high-end backup deal for Justin Fields? Learning for a year under Patrick Mahomes. We've seen former Andy Reid backups become starters later on. I think that's an interesting spot for a guy like Justin Fields. Learn how to play the game from someone great. It's not the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, I don't see it, and I actually don't like it because the Kansas City Chiefs have one thing in mind, and it's not who the backup quarterback's going to be. Yep. It's trying to go for a three-peat, and that means every one of those draft picks has got to be really, really crucial because you've got a Chris Jones contract. Yep. You've got what are you doing with L'Jarius Sneed? And we've seen young guys come in and really contribute right away to Chiefs championship. They don't have draft picks to mess around with to bring in Justin Fields.
But the great teams have drafted backup quarterbacks. The Patriots did it continuously. They drafted Jimmy G and they drafted Ryan Mallett, 2nd and 3rd round picks. The Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round, made a Super Bowl. I understand what you're saying. Maybe you don't have to give up a second for Fields. And Mahomes is always flirting with injury.
But he still plays.
Yeah, but listen, there was a playoff game against Cleveland. Was it 3 years ago? He got knocked out, and they had to go to Chad Henne. So I think the backup position is important in Kansas City. If you're going for a three-peat, you can't afford to let it get derailed because of a twisted ankle for 3 games. I actually kind of like this. If there's no starting spot for him, that's a great place to go for Justin Fields. I'm telling you, he'll be a starter in 3 years if he gets a little Andy Reid in him.
Right, he gets a little of the Andy Reid shine and then goes off into the world.
Are you kidding me?
With the Andy Reid stamp of approval.
And, Mahomes is a good guy. He'll sit out a couple games with a contusion. Let Justin Fields run the show.
Yeah, right. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. The biggest shock to me about how this is all developed is the fact that it looks like Atlanta is now starting to circle more in on Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's odd to me is because you would think the timeline with the Falcons is sort of a younger timeline. If any team could really afford to either draft a quarterback or trade for a young Justin Fields, you would think the Falcons would feel like they have that kind of time because all their other offensive weapons that they've been drafting recently are also very, very young.
Right. On the flip side, you could say we got to maximize the talent of these guys. We drafted Kyle Pitts in the top 10. We drafted Drake London and Bijan Robinson. We got to get more out of these guys.
Wow.
You really can't get a lot out of them if you don't have a quarterback. We saw that last year. The thing about Cousins, too, is he has a lot of ties to Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator of the Rams.
Yeah.
We know Cousins can run that Shanahan, McVay kind of offense. The more you think about it, it does make a lot of sense. It's indoors. It's a division you can win. You said they're young and they can grow together. At what point is Atlanta going to do it? They might feel some pressure to win now, especially in the NFC South.
Yeah, I do get that. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Also, keep your great debate responses coming. We've got a lot of good ones. On Wednesdays, we do something called The Great Debate, which is something loosely based on the news. And ours is the most unbreakable records in sports off of LeBron James scoring 40,000, surpassing 40,000 career points. And did you see he held up a white sheet of paper with the 40,000 on it?
Yeah.
Reminiscent of Wilt's 100, and you picked Wilt's 100 as the unbreakable record.
Yeah, and you guys kind of argued against that one. Pretty much everybody agreed. You threw out a Cal Ripken streak, unbreakable. Yeah. EJ had 50 points a game, probably unbreakable.
For Will averaging 50.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky scoring. So you think actually 100 is the one that could go down?
Definitely.
How about this one?
Well, your Dartmouth record of 14 points against a high school team that you played, that one's probably safe. Surprised they don't call you back every year.
That is absolutely not safe because I will never break my personal high of 14.
Also, it wasn't a high school, Maggie. It was a prep school, a post-grad school. So
I know, how dare I?
Yes,
it was a post-grad prep school.
And if you've been listening closely, I've been changing the school throughout the story.
I know.
Because I don't really remember who it was against.
Yeah, you're not sure who was against. You're not sure if that was the amount of points that you scored. It's odd they haven't built the statue yet for you.
I did. Okay. I've never bragged about this because, again, it was closer to club basketball, Dartmouth JV, but we went down to Yale, and I had my single best game. Yale has this famous arena, the oldest basketball court in the country, and I think I scored at least 9 points.
Was
this is
the
huge
rim
for me.
lower? Or
No, I just something about the atmosphere. It reminded me of the Palestra in Philly. You could not stop me. It got about 8 minutes of run, hit 2 3-pointers. It was an incredible athletic achievement.
Well, once you've done it at Yale, I mean, where else is there? It's like singing, at Radio City or something. At Carnegie Hall. Where else do you go after that?
We are laughing, and of course, it is totally laughable. But seeing Dartmouth being in the news because they became the first team to unionize.
Yep.
They actually showed a highlight from Dartmouth's game last night. There must have been 17 people in the crowd. I'm like, what is going on with the Big Green? They can unionize. They don't even have any fans. They're not any good. They've never made the tournament. I don't know what's going on here.
Listen, they're rule breakers. They're history makers. They're going to always be remembered. This is really going to set them apart at the next hedge fund meeting. It's like, yes, I was on the Dartmouth team.
But they unionize. The hedge fund people don't like that.
Oh, right. Someone will run for office from this team.
Probably.
10 years from now.
Yeah, and meanwhile, everyone's
labor.
like, why are you in sports talk radio when you could have made millions in hedge funds? I don't know.
It's one of the unknown questions. It'll be our great debate next week. Dianna Russini next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's been on the TB12 method since he was 6. She's on her 3rd scotch. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
The NFL news just flying at us from all different angles. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. One of our absolute favorite people joining us now. If you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, or you can listen to us on all of our incredible CBS Sports Radio affiliates. You will get the full experience with the one and only Dianna Russini, who joins us. She's a senior NFL writer for The Athletic. Dianna, thank you. We know this is like the busiest time of year for you, so thanks for making time for us.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I feel like it's been going since the season ended. So while I know on the calendar, it probably seems as if the insider game is nuts at this point, it's kind of been nuts since the end of the Super Bowl. So it is awesome to be here. And Maggie, I know I've told you this before. If my parents could pick to have a new daughter, they would pick you. They tell this to me all the time. They listen to you and they use your opinions to form their own. So they take your content and then try to debate me on stuff. And they said, well, Maggie says this, and that. So I have a weird jealousy of you because I know that I think my father truly loves you more than he loves me.
This is amazing. We have a sibling rivalry. We're not even related. I love it. No one could see it coming. The reason why your parents like me is because they don't know me, but they're not going to like me after this one, Dianna. Jason Kelce. So let's start there before we get to some of the free agent stuff. He retires, the tear-filled press conferences, a lot of snot, but listen, we love it. Men showing their feelings. This is a really good thing. Now we're talking about putting him on like a pregame show. Can you see Jason Kelce like in a suit, like tossing to Jay Glazer? I can't see it.
I can. I think he is so talented. I think both those brothers are, that they are chameleons in a way. They can really shape to whatever the atmosphere is in order for them to be. Can't you picture him in a room full of hedge fund managers and finance guys, and then also down the shore, at the OD, chugging beers to raise money for autism. So I think he has this unique quality about him where he can connect with any type of person. Now, do I think TV will make him a little stuffy? Yes, but I can tell you from my experience, if he does wind up at ESPN, I know those producers, and they're all about leading into authenticity. So I would probably place a very large bet if he lands on TV. We will probably see Jason without a suit on and probably without a shirt on most Sundays, which, I think a really smart TV executive would bring him on and just say, just talk football. Just be the smartest person in the room because you played it. You know more than any of the folks sitting on set. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be shocked if he doesn't do it, but I will say I would miss him if he didn't do it.
Dianna, you have to understand, she can't stand my Eagles fandom, and that's what that was about. She was mad because he went to Kansas City and was all of a sudden a Chiefs fan. I mean, you get it, right? I think that you could send him to any tailgate in America and he'd fit right in.
So, Andrew, you don't know this, but I'm married to an Eagles fan. Yeah. And I don't like him usually when it comes to like Eagle talk. Like I like him as a partner and a father. He's wonderful. But the Eagles stuff is it's an issue in our marriage, actually, because it sets the tone for our life based on what is happening with the Eagles, and it's his mood. So I'm going to always lean into the corner what Maggie's preaching here, which is the Philly obnoxious fandom and the connection and him, just all of it. It's exhausting. It's tiresome. But the one thing I truly loved about what Jason shared, and when I heard him say it, I said, he's right about this. They are a very special type of fan base. And if you can understand them, you can survive. But I think it's the understanding part is the challenge that so many people have and is really part of my journey right now.
Well, as I said, T's and P's. I mean, to be married to an Eagles fan, that's really something. I feel like somehow I have a work marriage to an Eagles fan, so I feel your pain.
Maybe on Sundays, your husband and I could hang out, and you and Maggie and the family could hang out. But then you get a lot of Buffalo Bills talk. Are you okay with that, Dianna?
Love it. Love Bills. Love talking Bills. Love to be around Bills Mafia. Love the Bills front office. Love the Bills coaches. Love everything Bills, 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 Bills. Why? Because, yes, they are loud and they're passionate, but they're not grumpy people. They're not moody, right? Whereas I find Philly, their neutral position, like where they just sit at it all the time, is pretty nasty. And then if they win, they're a little happier. And then obviously if they lose, everyone should die. So I just think finding that balance, and I'm challenged with that as the mother of two little boys who are Philly fans already, because I mean, I have no choice, right? So I'm just hoping, and something I'm working on, I want to raise normal, sane fans. I don't want them to be like their dad in that space. Everything else, I want them to be like their dad, but just have some sensibility, some kindness, and perhaps maybe not shape your whole life around what the Eagles do every Sunday.
Dianna Russini is a senior NFL writer for The Athletic. Yes, the Bills fans, don't mistake that. That's just like a light coma of Molson XXX and Frank's Red Hot. It just like it kind of combines for just a sort of serene at times and then jump through a table that's on fire. Let's get to some news, okay? So we were just having this conversation, and it's about Justin Fields, Dianna. The true market for Justin Fields, the true amount of teams from what you can glean from the combine and talking to all the sources that you have. What is the true market for Fields this offseason?
Yeah, I'll just take you back to when I was on that plane headed into Indianapolis, and I was ready to start literally my mission was, let me start collecting the teams that are having conversations with the Bears about a possible trade to get done before the start of free agency, knowing that the Bears wanted to move on. This was, before really Ryan Poles revealed that, but most of us understood that they're moving on and they wanted to test out that trade market by having all these conversations. So I went in there thinking that was going to be the busiest part of my job last week. And I came home and the market just isn't as robust as expected, despite the fact that we know that there are a lot of teams in the quarterback market. Now, the caveat that comes with that is I do think Justin will land somewhere. I just think it's got to be in this sort of second tier of quarterbacks once we see where Kirk Cousins goes, once we see if Baker Mayfield winds up staying in Tampa, and then it starts to sort itself out in that whole, Ryan Tannehill, Gardner Minshew grouping. And then I think I can see some teams starting to emerge. But right now, I am having a hard time finding a team very committed and trying to get a deal done with Chicago to trade for Justin Fields.
Well, Dianna, you also said it's going to be a very quarterback-heavy draft. I was really taken aback when you said on a podcast that you're hearing from smart people 1, 2, 3, 4 quarterback. And Maggie and I have been talking about that comment a lot. Who would be the fourth team? We think the fourth quarterback might be J.J. McCarthy, but we don't know who the team is.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say who told you that. And I was like, I can't do that.
I know. I figured I was going to give it a shot, but you're already down on me for being an Eagles fan. I didn't want to say that.
No, I love you. Don't worry. I've learned to get over it. It's interesting. When I was describing in my column about who the person I was talking to, I described them as smart, as if I needed to add that description because I do think there are some GMs that aren't. So I was like, I need to make sure without saying who this person is, that this person is smart. So I'm going to include that. And when I say smart, it's because historically he's done very, very well in the draft. So that's one part of it. The other part, look, I talked to some people who really believe that Arizona is willing to move out, right? They're talking about it. They're discussing it. They're obviously set at the quarterback spot. And actually, I'd probably drop the word obviously, because there was a time, right, where we were discussing is Kyler Murray really the future. But I can just tell you from talking to them directly, they love Kyler. So look, there are tons of teams that are looking to the future, who are looking to build, who think that they've got a shot at getting the quarterback they want, that we may not think is either going to be available, or the opposite side of it, they believe will be available at that fourth spot. So we'll see how this goes. It's still early, and I think that's so important to share with everyone. There's so much flying around, and I love going back to a lot of my notes from last year and even the year before. I was going over some stuff that I was doing on Get Up last year, and I don't think any of it panned out. Not saying my reporting was wrong. It's just teams shifted. Things moved, things changed. So, when this GM shared that with me, I was a little taken aback because it just felt like, gosh, that's heavy. 4 quarterbacks in the top 8. Yes. 4 straight. Wow. So we'll see if that pans out. But I definitely think that he's not the only person who believes that.
Dianna Russini is joining us. She's a senior NFL writer for The Athletic. Dianna, you're at the Combine. You're doing all this reporting. How did J.J. McCarthy separate himself? Or if it is McCarthy, excuse me, we're all familiar with him from Michigan. The game tape hasn't changed. So what did he do to separate himself if he did that in that week in Indy?
No, he did. He did. And it's a good observation by you, because I felt it as well. And I think a lot of it is these interactions, right? So let me just use an example of Caleb Williams. I sat with a head coach and I said, what do you think of Caleb? He's like, we're meeting with him, but we'll see. He seems like a different kind of guy. He obviously has a different type of road and journey than most quarterbacks we're going to be talking to. So, I've heard some stuff, and he didn't really get into what he had heard, but it was obvious he wasn't entering this interview with any hope that this guy was the top number 1 overall pick here. Well, the meeting went that night. I circled back with him the next day. I said, hey, how'd that go with Caleb, by the way? He's like, he was awesome. He was so good, right? So I think that's just such a small example of why these in-person interviews can completely sway an organization's vibes and feelings about a candidate outside of just their performance, right? Because the character stuff is big. And yes, you want to be able to have the physical side to it, and you want to be able to see them play and throw and pass and all that stuff. They've got the film on that, right? Everyone kind of has that idea. It's, who are these men? Do we want to invest all of this into this one person? And do they have this maturity, this emotional maturity as well to lead a team? And I think that's where these in-person meetings have become the most important part of the Combine process, which is why, I get asked all the time, do you think the Combine is going to go away? That we're seeing lots of head coaches now miss out on that. And I don't. In fact, I feel more confident after leaving this one, especially that the Combine is here to stay.
On the opposite end of the quarterback spectrum, you reported on Atlanta possibly being interested in Kirk Cousins. That seems to be taking off this week. Both Maggie and I were a little surprised. We thought that might be a Justin Fields home. Now it feels like, I don't know, it feels like Kirk Cousins is going to be a Falcon. The more you think about it, the more it makes sense.
Yeah.
What are you hearing more recently about Kirk Cousins to Atlanta?
Yeah, my week started in Indy on Monday morning with some of that, where I said, oh, so this is how this is going to go. I thought this was going to be, all right, what does Minnesota got to do just to come up a little bit more to make Kirk happy? But then you have the Falcons, who are doing their homework on it, right? They can't technically have conversations with Kirk. They can't run medical on him because that's a really big risk, if you ask me. A 35, soon to be 36-year-old coming off an Achilles injury, and you can't even run medicals on him. You can't even put him through. You can't even have your team doctor take a look at him. So you're going to agree. So I'm talking Atlanta, right? So you're going to agree to some, let's just say a 3-year contract with 2-year guaranteed. Let's just say that's it. That's not the number, but let's say it is. That's very, very, very risky for Atlanta. But from the Atlanta side to this, right? You guys painted the picture in the last segment about the staff that's there with the Falcons. Obviously, Raheem Morris has all that experience in time with Kirk Cousins when they were together in Washington. Zach Robinson runs the same offense as he runs as Sean McVay and the whole Kirk Cousins mob, we'll call it. Right? There's all these tentacles to Kirk, right? And they all want a piece of him and they all love him. And I was around these guys for years in Washington. So I know the language. I know what they like. I know what they don't like. And Kirk is what they like. They know Kirk can do it. They know he can understand what they're trying to accomplish specifically on offense. Now, the Minnesota side to it, same thing. Kevin O'Connell and him have a phenomenal relationship, and things are just, in my opinion, could just continue to improve. Obviously, they're trying to get the Justin Jefferson deal done and, continue to build on that defense there. But Atlanta, you look at them on paper, there's some things that they can sell to Kirk outside of the fact that Julie, his wife, is from Atlanta. And guys, come on, money talks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Atlanta's got it. And if they are willing to make a financial commitment with what we all know, you can tell someone how much you love them. But if you don't show them, and the way you show players in this business is through money, then that may be the reason Kirk leaves. He'll never say it, well, because they gave me a better deal. But if they do and they make Kirk feel like he's the guy in Atlanta, I could very, very much see that happening. But I am interested to see the punch Minnesota's going to have here for Kirk to say, no. We want you. You're our guy, and here's why. So the next few days, guys, it's going to get really interesting.
Dianna Russini, senior NFL writer for The Athletic. Okay, you're here with us on a Wednesday. That happens to be Great Debate Wednesdays around here. Today's question is about unbreakable records off of LeBron James. We loosely base this on the news. LeBron James, 40,000 career points. He surpassed that number. We were wondering, Dianna, do you have an unbreakable sports record, something where just is going to stand the test of time?
Sadly, your producer gave me a heads up on this during the break, and I said, "Oh, you want one of my personal records?" Like I was so excited that you guys would ask me about some athletic achievement.
George Mason soccer? Yes.
He's like, "No, in sports. I'm not talking about you washed up high school athlete that peaked at 17."
Nonsense.
All right. Well, first of all, it was when I was in kindergarten. I hold the record in the state of New Jersey for the fastest mile time at 8:16.
Wow.
But moving. Pretty impressive,
That's
right?
lightning. When you're 6
Dude,
or 7.
Think about how little you are when you're in kindergarten.
What kind of psycho times a mile for a kindergartner?
New Jersey.
Remember the presidential fitness
test
that you ran? That it was part of that. So that's when I discovered that I love to run. So not anymore, back then. But in terms of actual sports, and I think I'm probably choosing this because I witnessed it. I was there covering it. It was the UConn women. Their win streak of 111 games. I was there for it. And just what that program has done with Gino Auriemma over and over and how consistent they've been. And just watching their practices was one of the most fascinating things I was able to see as a sports reporter because it was watching an army. It truly, every minute is clocked. Every minute has a point. Every minute has a reason. There is no downtime. There's no wasting. And I always was really inspired by that team, especially the team that was able to get them over 100, which was a big deal when they did it. So to me, it's the UConn women's basketball team.
I mean, does Gino Auriemma know about your mile time? I feel like he would have put you in if he knew that.
Maggie, that is my credibility on the streets when people are like, okay, why am I going to talk to you? You're just some random girl that covers sports. I'm like, well, did you know when I was 5? No, Gino probably knows because Gino's great and he's a good friend of mine. So I'm sure I passed it along at some point to make myself feel good.
Absolutely love it. Dianna, you're the best for carving out some time for us again. This is like the busy time of year. If you're not reading Dianna, if you're not following on Twitter, what are you doing? Dianna Russini, senior NFL writer for The Athletic. And by the way, the transition to The Athletic, 2 thumbs way up. Fantastic. Just awesome. Keep it coming. You're the best.
I appreciate that so much, guys. I'm such a big fan of both of you. So thank you for having me on.
And specifically tell your parents I said I'll be home around 6 and really looking forward to talking, whatever they want. Mets, Yankees, Giants, Jets, whatever.
It's a We Love Maggie household.
I wish there were more of those. Thank you, Dianna. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Dianna Russini.
Yeah, she knows what it's like to be in a family with an Eagles fan.
Rough.
You get combat pay for that. You know what club I want to be in now?
The Kirk Cousins mob?
The Kirk Cousins mob. Not really because of Kirk Cousins, but that's a lot of good coaches who are in this quote-unquote Kirk Cousins mob. Do they have jackets? What's going on here?
I would love it. It's the 2 words you would never put together, Kirk Cousins and mob.
But I could totally
they make sense.
I can totally picture it. All these 38-year-old offensive coordinators say, man, if he was just more like Kirk Cousins. Because Kirk Cousins will do exactly what the coach wants. And all coaches think that they know exactly what should be done.
They want surgeons, not artists, right?
Big time.
855-2124-CBS. Big thank you to Dianna Russini. She's the best. Coming up, we're going to get even deeper into the Atlanta situation because, as Dianna said, the next couple days are going to be really fascinating for the Falcons. Do not move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. You know, it's kind of weird that Maggie loves having Dianna Russini on. She is one of the most esteemed NFL writers, incredible information, great listen. And she happens to be a Maggie Gray super fan. Her family, I mean, it's not like anybody's saying we'd rather have Maggie as our daughter. Diana's at the top of her industry, and they'd still rather have Maggie.
Yes. Well, listen, the feeling is mutual. I said we have a sibling rivalry. We're not even related. But no, I love Dianna. This is part of, there's...
of course you do.
No, I mean, well, everybody does. But there is a special place, excuse me, in my heart for women who do what she does and are working moms.
Oh, okay.
Because what she's doing, you can't ever turn it off. Like, you're an insider like that. You're constantly working the phones. There's no go home at 5. And then, like, you can just, like, in some ways you make your own schedule, but you really don't, because you're always at the whim of trying to, not the whim, but you're always trying to chase down the story. And when someone calls you back, you've got to drop everything and go talk to the general manager of whatever. And I think that she's really amazing for doing that. I know it's hard as a working mom, and it's hard for men too. You guys, you know, it's hard for you, but it's different for us.
Yeah, I told you I got asked on a podcast yesterday because you are a woman and you're my co-host about the state of women broadcasters. And I find it as a man very hard to answer that question.
It is a little tough that you got that one.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, I do think the fact that Doris Burke is the lead NBA analyst and nobody thinks twice about it is...
I'll check her Twitter mentions.
Yeah, well, I mean,
pretty toxic. But again, that's not
NBA,
real life.
Most of my NBA fan friends, I'm never like, oh, why is Doris Burke calling that game? We're like, of course Doris Burke is calling this game. Of course Mina Kimes is on NFL. So I think, but it is a hard... yeah, and... what is your take on where men in sports are?
How are we doing, Maggie?
I think you guys are doing pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, you've been holding it down for these last 100 years, and I'm sure you'll be holding it down for the next 100.
Holding it down well, right? Respectfully and open-mindedly.
You guys are all batting 1,000. Well done.
Then he goes, what do you think of Stephen A? I'm like, should I criticize the most powerful man in this industry? Oh, yeah, Stephen A doesn't know what he's talking about. What are you kidding me?
What podcast was this? They called it Gotcha?
Perloff and drama. No, it's funny. The questions were more, I'm not telling you because I don't want anybody to find it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah.
Who are you voting for in November?
Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, okay.
Let me the light stuff.
I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. How would you answer this question? Why are Stephen A. and Pat McAfee right now so popular? What distinguishes them to really move the needle so much?
I I'd be like, well, have you seen our show? No, I tried to spin zone it back to Austin.
But it was a tough one. I said,
I'd be like,
so
Pat
I threw
McAfee,
out,
are you sure that's even the real guy?
it's funny. There's only one way to answer this question. You always throw out authenticity. I don't know what it means, but say authenticity. That is the buzzword right now in the media industry. So I said authenticity.
You know,
And actually, it's true. Because Stephen A. is Stephen A. and McAfee is McAfee. So
Wait,
that's something.
I know, but authenticity, McAfee's doing WWE, which is like the least authentic thing possible.
But ironically, somewhat authentic because he's a genuine fan.
Sure.
He is such a genuine fan.
No. It's funny about authenticity because I heard a lot of the quarterbacks saying that at the draft.
It's it's the grit of it. Last year was grit. Now it's authenticity.
Which is funny because I'm wondering why is like Russell Wilson, like why would he have trouble finding a job or something? I'm like, well, authenticity. Doesn't really scream Russ.
No, he's the opposite.
I thought with the NFL, like Dianna also was just talking about, the most unbreakable records. That's our great debate question for today. And she said she was covering UConn when they won 111 in a row. And Jen was like, run like an army. Gino Auriemma's practices were inspiring of how efficient they were and everything. Like, who wants authenticity? Don't we want people who are fall in line, be a good teammate? Maybe there's a balance there and a middle ground, but
right, the Patriots did not allow authenticity. They wanted robot. But I actually, when she said that, UConn women also had the top 3 recruits every year. So was it really because they were running it like an army, or because they had the best players? Because look at where those players, who they became. I mean, do you really need to run it like an army when you have Maya Moore and Russini and it's Sue Bird?
Tarazi.
Tarazi and Sue Bird and all these, Rebecca Lobo, you just roll the ball out and you win the game. Sorry, I said it. Cancel me. Gino Auriemma, overrated.
It's not him. Well, X's and O's, Jimmy's and Joe's. We say the same thing about Nick Saban. Okay, let's turn our attention to Atlanta, shall we? Joining the show right now. Well, I say this, we just line up our friends now to join us on the show. This is such a smart idea. Carl Dukes is one of the most exciting radio personalities in this country. He's a host of Dukes and Bell 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. Carl, man, it's great to see you. And of course, hosting on weekends here on CBS Sports Radio. It's so great to see you. When we're talking Atlanta sports, we had to come to you because you're the authority on this.
Well, first of all, Maggie and Perloff, guys, thank you for having me. I appreciate the kind words. It's all true, but thank you so much. I'm a humble guy. I'm really humble.
Yeah.
Listen, Atlanta's got a lot going on, and I know you guys want to get into this quarterback thing, but I'm like, I wish we knew today where this thing is going, but I thought I did, Maggie and Perloff, like 2 weeks ago. I was like, Justin Fields, bring him home. Now I'm like,
Okay, because yes, you've been staunch on your radio show. Again, 92.9 The Game. You guys are amazing. On your radio show, on social media, you were staunch. Justin Fields, he's the guy. He's the local guy. Bring him home, everything. What's made you change your mind over the last couple weeks?
Well,
or made you
it's
waver?
just the way that things have kind of played out. The combine happened, and everybody at the combine was like, look, Dukes, this Kirk Cousins thing is real, and they are interested, and they want a vet. And Raheem Morris, the new head coach, and Zach Robinson, who came from the Rams, he was working with Matt Stafford and being there with Sean McVay. I get the sense that, hey, if they can get a veteran who can have a pocket presence, who can read defenses and deliver the football like Kirk Cousins, I think they're willing to do it. And, it's not going to be about whether they want to pay him. I think everybody's worried about the guaranteed money. It'll be how the contract will be structured. But Maggie and Perloff, that part of it became more prevalent over the last week and a half. And so as that's played out, Justin is still here in the background. I think that's still an option. I don't know if it's option one. And so that's why I have said, let's explore all of this stuff, because I think Justin Fields could be the long-term answer. He's 25. You could have him for the next 10 years if he grows into the quarterback you want. But Perloff, I heard you say this earlier because I enjoy listening to you guys as well. I heard you say he holds on to the football too long. And I've been saying this to people. Part of this is coaching, and the other part is development on Justin. So for Justin, what has happened is the situation where as the line breaks down or pressure comes, instead of getting rid of the football, which is something Kirk Cousins does, he gets rid of it as quick as anybody in the NFL. Justin, with his mindset and his athleticism, wants to hold on to it. And now I'm scrambling. And now strip sack, balls loose, fumble. Now bad things have happened. And he's got to learn how to do better there and getting rid of the football. But I do think all of that is fixable.
So there's this narrative out there that Atlanta has these great skill position players and Kirk Cousins can help take advantage. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. How great are those skill players? Do you think there's a lot more that is untapped if you have the right quarterback?
I do. I was a big proponent for Bijan Robinson coming to the Falcons. A lot of people said, "Oh, you're crazy. Why are you drafting a running back?" I said, he's so much more than that. I'll tell you guys a story. When they went to work him out at the University of Texas before the draft, one of the things Arthur Smith did, and I respect Arthur Smith. He chose the wrong guy at quarterback here, but he's a good offensive coordinator, and I think he'll do a good job in Pittsburgh. But I found out through my Texas guys that they ran this guy through the route tree, and he ran better routes than all the wide receivers. And so what happened was you started to see a vision of how you could potentially use Bijan, not only in the backfield, but also in the slot. You could put him out wide. He could run routes against corners and beat them. So we haven't seen the full potential of Bijan Robinson. Certainly Drake London is going to be a stud in this league, and Kyle Pitts has been hurt. But there's not a quarterback in this league that looks at those three guys and goes, oh, yeah, I think I can do something with those three guys because we could potentially do something really special here and score a lot of points.
Carl Dukes is joining us, of course, 92.9 The Game. Dukes and Bell, fantastic, like the highest rated radio show in Atlanta. You guys just rock, and you're so entertaining. We had to come to you for all things Atlanta. Is there a little bit more simple and obvious answer here, Carl, because you have these like young players to draft a quarterback? I mean, 8th overall pick. You guys are young. Get a cheap quarterback. Is there this like urgency right now on behalf of the Falcons? And if so, is that urgency real or is it manufactured?
So, Maggie, it's interesting because I think the Falcons, I've not been told this, but this is my sense. They're desperate. We've been in purgatory for the last 6 years, okay? No playoffs, 7-9, 7-9, 7-9. Then you choose quarterbacks back-to-back and Marcus Mariota, who was terrible. And then Desmond Ridder, who's a turnover machine in the red zone. So there's this sense of desperateness that's going on right now that we got to get this right now. I don't know if we have time to go draft a guy, and you guys know this. You don't win with rookie quarterbacks in this league. C.J. Stroud is an aberration. That doesn't happen. So if you're willing to develop and stay the course with a guy for 2 or 3 years, that would be great if we had been to the playoffs the last 3 years. I don't know if Raheem Morris is going to get that. I don't know if this staff is going to get that. So I think there is a sense that if we can get the veteran, if we can get a guy who's played in this league, who knows what it's about, we can get there quicker. But I do think they're open to drafting a quarterback. And for me, if they can make it happen, that guy is Jayden Daniels. We know Caleb's going to be gone, but if you could find a way to get to Jayden Daniels, I think he's the guy that could energize the city and certainly has an electrified, kind of game to him and a swag to him that I think Atlanta would embrace.
What's the local take on the new coaching staff, Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson? I know Raheem Morris didn't have that much success his first time, but I sense league-wide and reading things out of the combine that there's a lot of optimism about him here in Atlanta.
Guys, as we went through this coaching search, I was talking with everybody, and everybody thought the Belichick thing was going to happen, except me. Because after the second interview happened, they were out on Belichick. And I knew it. I had heard it inside of the building, what was going on. But I had also heard 2 weeks prior that Raheem Morris might be a real candidate. And I remember reaching out to him. And Maggie and Perloff, you guys know this. You've been doing this a long time. When you are able to talk to somebody and they go quiet, you know something is going on, right? And so I'm like, hey, what's going on, Rob? What's happening? What's the deal with the coaching search? I'm just, trying to get in. And he's like, nothing, zero. And I'm like, Rob, are you in on this thing? And I think a few days before that second interview for him, he said, I feel really good about where this is going. And I knew that Belichick was not going to be the guy, and he was going to be potentially the guy that got the job. To answer your question, second time around is always great. Remember how young he was in Tampa, Perloff, when he got that job. Guys, if we got our jobs at 19, we would have sucked, right? I mean, it's just what it is. You get a head coaching job at 30, 31. You've never done it, even though you feel like you're ready. He owns all of this and says, hey, I thought I knew what I was doing, but I need to have a collaboration of people around me to help me be the coach that I can be. But you ask anybody in the league, Mike Tomlin, Sean McVay, all these guys love Raheem Morris, and they know what he brings to a team. I think he's going to do an excellent job as a second-time head coach in the National Football League.
Carl Dukes, 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, giving us the perspective on all things Atlanta. That's a good sign from Raheem Morris that he didn't want to lie to you, Carl. Like, that's nice, Go quiet instead of just saying no, and just feed you some BS. And that would have been not cool. Before we let you go, let's talk about the Georgia Bulldog products who are going to be in this draft. Who are you highest on? Like, who should be on people's radar? There's a lot of people from Georgia on our radar. But who do you have the most faith is going to be really great at the next level from Georgia?
Yeah, who are my Philadelphia Eagles taking this year? Yeah. Because we got to keep on stocking the Bulldogs.
Listen, they're not afraid to do it, are they? I mean, they'll take these guys in a heartbeat. 3 guys, Amirius Mims, 6'8", 3+, 320, 340, whatever he is. Had a really good combine. I know he hurt his hammy or something, but at the end of the day, this guy's going to be a beast in the NFL on the O-line for a long time. Obviously, Brock Bowers is the number 1 tight end in this draft. And guys, I said this going in, people were like, oh, he doesn't interview well. And I'm like, who cares? Turn on the tape. I saw this kid against Auburn and Alabama and in the national championship. Tape doesn't lie. Brock Bowers is a dude, and he's going to be an amazing player. If the Chargers get him, it's going to be a steal for Justin Herbert. If he slides in the first round and goes to, let's just say, the Bengals, forget about it. Joe Burrow with Chase and Higgins and Brock Bowers, it's a problem. The other guy is Ladd McConkey. Now, many people may not be familiar with Ladd McConkey. Plays wide receiver. I think he'll be a slot guy in the NFL. Ran a 4.4, twitchy. This guy killed it at the Senior Bowl. Nobody could defend him. All these DBs were like, I didn't know this guy was this good. He goes to the combine. He fares well. I think Ladd McConkey is going to be a steal for somebody from the Georgia Bulldogs. But they had 11 guys at the combine. So, as you guys know, they're putting guys in the NFL like crazy every year.
Carl, can I ask your help for one quick thing? We have a basketball debate, and I think you're going to be with me. Just real quick. You could have one shooting guard, Reggie Miller or James Harden. Who are you taking?
Reggie Miller all day.
Me too. Our producer, EJ, thinks Harden by far.
Wait, this is not fair because you're pitting Carl and EJ against each other, and they have their own relationship, and we don't want to start any friction here between friends.
But EJ knows how I feel about James Harden. He's heard me enough on this, talking about how Harden doesn't show up in these big moments. There's regular season Harden, and then there's Game 7 Harden. You guys know this. So for me, listen, I know he's been spectacular in scoring points and did all those things in Houston, but EJ knows this. I am not a big Harden guy simply because when it matters most, Dukesism, he never shows up. This guy never shows up.
Carl, we absolutely love listening to you. Dukes and Bell, 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. Say hi to Mike for us, by the way, and tell him we asked about him, of course. Thank you for giving us the perspective that you have. We appreciate it, and just keep crushing because you guys are you're already on the rocket ship. You're in outer space right now with the show.
Thank you, guys. I love you. Maggie and Perloff, keep crushing it yourselves. And listen, if I knew today, I'd tell you guys who the quarterback was or is going to be. This thing is up in the air right now.
We'll be in touch in a couple days, Carl. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Carl Dukes, the best. Dukes and Bell. Listen to them. They're great.
Yeah, I knew he was going to say Reggie Miller. I just knew it. EJ put up a poll, by the way. Who would you rather have, Harden or Miller? 81% Miller. There you go.
Bogusch, we have a moment for a headline or two?
You guys tell me. Rockets center Alperen Şengün did Pearl's dirty work last night, teaching Victor Wembanyama a lesson in Houston.
Now goes at Wembanyama. There's the help. Works around the helmet, hits another.
That's from Rockets TV. Şengün a career-high 45 plus 16 boards and 5 steals in a 114-101 win over the Spurs. He only got 15 and 9 in their previous meeting.
I didn't play that good last game against him, I can say. So, and I didn't see that much double team. They just leave me one-on-one with Wemby. So, and then I just did what I do.
So this is, Wemby let up 40-something to this guy. He let up 70 to Joel Embiid. The dude, can he not play defense here?
I guess not.
You're just giving me hope. let me guess. He had 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists.
No. He did have 7 blocks, but just 10 points and 11 rebounds. And here's your line, they lost again.
The dude always had a triple-double, and that's all you could give me? All right, I admit I've lost this bet. But, He hasn't won a title yet.
True. Last
oh my
but not
gosh. Give him a break. He's a teenager.
Did you see any rings on his hands, DJ? No.
Last but not least, Maggie's tarot card jinx is already in effect. Josh Allen in Paris with Haley Steinfeld, and the QB tweeting yesterday his pants ripped during dinner, and he was afraid of being cheeks out.
Well, he and I have that in common. I've done that before. It's really embarrassing.
What was he doing on a dinner where he ripped his pants?
Yeah, how do you rip your pants?
I don't know.
I thought it was like he was saying something like, I ate so much, like the front of my pants, like the button busted open, but the back, what were you, busting a move?
I'm just saying that Tom Brady never had his pants rip overseas. Nope. I don't know.
Tom Brady definitely ripped his pants on the golf course. Do you not remember that?
No.
Tom Brady ripped his pants playing one of those charity golf things. It was amazing. He had to change like in the woods.
But he wasn't walking into a restaurant.
Well.
Act like you've been there in France.
I mean, I think, listen, it's France. There's so many different fashion statements that can be made. Like it's Fashion Week. I would just walk around with the ripped pants, just with the ass out, just like, hey, this is the new thing.
Saint Laurent told me to do this.
Yeah, right. This is Balmain, guys.
I told Bogusch to put this in here to bug you about how Josh Allen's making a fool of himself, and you don't seem to care at all.
First of all, you don't think that Josh Allen in France is a little fish out of water? Just like I grew up
Fireball, California.
Yeah, I grew up on an almond farm. I think it's a little different.
He's definitely making like a your toast instead of French toast joke along the way.
Oh gosh, I just hope he doesn't say freedom fries. He wouldn't.
Oh.
That's old. That's old. I just brought up old stuff.
Yeah.
No, Josh,
I haven't heard that term in a few years.
There's like
decades.
There's not much that Josh Allen. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna tempt fate. I was gonna say there's not much he could do to ever embarrass Bills fans.
Yeah, by the way, that's not going to embarrass Bills fans. You're right. It's a
Bills fans
low
embarrass
bar.
themselves. They'll be fine.
What Bills fan is wearing pants? I mean, guys, get over yourselves.
Zubas can't rip.
Zubas
Are those
in
actually
Paris?
pants?
Come on, that's what all the French people are wearing.
I'm done, Grandma.
Grandma Gray.
Listen, who's the one who brought in the cinnamon rolls for your 3-week-old birthday?
Some Werther's Originals. Thanks so much.
I don't want to get this started that I'm Grandma. It's not my fault they named the hair dye Grandma Gray. And then Marash said something about it.
Yeah. He's like, we're going to call Maggie that one day.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have even known about this unless Greg Giannotti told me.
Because Gio's always stirring this pot here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on.
It's my last name.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Grandma Gray, you're going to go to Maggie?
I know. My kid is 4.
Also, why didn't Cradle just name it Grandpa Gray? Why did it have to be Grandma?
I don't know, because they have it out for me. I have no idea. I don't want to, yeah.
Of all the things that have been said about you here in this building, though, that one.
That one really rolls off my back. You should see what they said when I ripped my pants.
Yeah.
All right, coming up, the team that is likely trading up for a QB, are they making a mistake? We'll do that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Been a fun show. Keep them coming with our great debate question today, which is the most unbreakable record in sports. Big Friendly is our friend.
Talking to me now.
In California. Hey, Big Friendly, what's up?
Hey, Maggie Malone, how you doing? Perloff the knee, EJ the EP, and 411. So yesterday when I called and I offered Perloff a ride in my van, I noticed there was a lot of negative stigma, and it's earned. But Perloff said that maybe Big Friendly could pull off the van. Perloff, I can. And if
I know you can.
2 minutes, I'll explain to you why. Maggie, you're married, correct?
Yes.
Perloff, you're married, correct?
Yep.
411, EJ, are you guys in relationships, dating, Netflix, and chilling with somebody?
Bogusch is married. I am in a long-term relationship. She's my long-term partner.
So now, when I told you I have a van, I said I have a bubble top conversion.
Yeah,
So
wait,
it's
sorry,
different.
Big Friendly, 1 second. This is because you offered to give Perloff a ride to San Antonio. He is actively losing a bet to us the whole show, which is he'll have to drive to San Antonio to apologize to Victor Wembanyama if Wemby wins Rookie of the Year. And then you offered your van. Listen, I get it, the Dodge Ram van. We actually did a little more research, and we realized there are a lot more windows on it than we first thought.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
But no, so here's the thing. So To all the single ladies out there in the radio land, just remember, Big Friendly's good year round. Warmth in the winter, shade in the summer. Now, when I take my lady friend in my van, I pack a lunch or a picnic. We go off to the beach. I back my van in. I open the back doors. Now I have 3 TVs, and Maggie, no, the driver cannot see the TV.
Valid question.
They're only in the back. So I back the van in. I open the back windows. The back seat lays down to a bed. I'm gonna keep it PG. Don't worry. You can lay down the back bed. Now you put whatever she wants to watch on the TVs on one side. Then you got the sound of the ocean, the smell of the ocean, and the sunset. That's why vans can be good.
Oh, wow. Big Friendly, that was beautifully told. I feel like I'm standing there with you right now in your van
question.
bed. Yeah.
One thing that I don't know if anybody's asked, and I told EJ this. What about if the Bears hold on to the young quarterback for 1 year, still draft Caleb Williams, and hold him behind their starting quarterback? That way he has 1 year to sit.
Big Friendly, how dare you bring sports into this van conversation? Thank you so much. We're up against the break. Good to talk with you.
Yeah, I think the thing is when you say the word van, it brings a lot of history with it.
I didn't even know there was a bed in the van. I thought it was the 4 captain's chairs that he really sold us on yesterday. So we all have our own little captain chair.
Yeah, whatever.
Sometimes the second pitch is better than the first.
I think Big Friendly didn't realize he had me at Bubble Van. I didn't need all this detail.
The bubble top.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's go.
Pack a lunch, sound of the ocean, a van.
We don't need lunch. We got breakfast tacos coming.
What could be better? EJ Stewart, thank you. Cold Guesser, thank you. Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, Dianna Russini, Carl Dukes, Guido's Coffee Drinkers. Wow.
Was he trying to...
You're in a 5-minute break.